and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Scoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our family leisure studios. Lee Aldwin Seabury Jr. also with us on the board. His first day with us, full go on the board. Trying to get all trained out. I guess maybe a test today. I don't know what you would call it, but no, he's with us full time. Brett Norsworthy also with us today. We're Sports Time. We got a lot to get to today, a lot to talk about, whether it be college football, NFL news. We're very close to the NBA Finals starting. So much to get into over these next 3 hours. But, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, and Lee Aldwin, I'll tell you, you're already 900 miles ahead of me in that room. As I've told y'all, the only thing I know how to do in that room is turn the lights on and turn the lights off.
Yeah, so getting the show started, I mean, that's like –
good job.
I mean,
good job.
Aerospace engineering compared to what you know, Brett.
It really, I mean, it's the Mars rover compared to what I can do.
That's right. So definitely a good start. We're excited to have Lee Aldwin with us.
Sure are.
And obviously he's been with us training.
Everybody's got that first day, don't
they?
For
sure,
Brian?
Absolutely. And so getting closer and closer and being able to take it over full time, it's definitely cool to see.
Brian, it feels like your first day was when you were 11.
Yes.
Here at WHBQ.
Yes, it feels like I've been around here for a while. It was not when I was 11, but it sure feels like it with how many years I've just been kind of around the back.
The years really run together, and I've told you, and I think most of our listeners that know or care or don't care, I'm still going to say it, real affinity for what people do on that technical side, in that control room, because I'm just the literal Webster's definition of ignorant to it. But it does feel like it feels like you and Drew Barrett were there when y'all were mere child.
It does, and that helps. Being around it for a while, you definitely get it down like the back of your hand, and easier to explain to other people how it works. But yes, I feel like I've been running that board for my entire life almost.
It almost feels like to me that Drew started as a 7 or 8 year old about 1999, which none of that's accurate.
Sure.
None of that's close to the right year.
Right.
I think he was born in 95, and then you got there after he left, like in 2005. Again, not close to accurate. You were 5 in 2005.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
But it feels like one of y'all have been there the entire time I've been there.
It feels weird. Like it. It is weird, but maybe that's credit to how good of a job we do. It is that credit, and I miss old Drew too. Oh, absolutely. Weirdly enough, as long as it feels like I've been here, and as long as I know he was here, we never worked together. Drew and I
that can't be right.
Never worked with Drew, which is weird. I came in right after him, so so weird how all that lines up.
That is. So you're telling now you interned there.
I was here while Drew was here. We ran into each other a couple times.
Yeah, and you were down the hall, kind of.
I was more down the hall. I would kind of come in here for John's show, and I would sit in during John's show back when Gabe was producing for John. Right. And then I'd kind of cut out when John was done. So sometimes Drew would be getting here, and I'd say,
Drew left
"Hey, what's
us in 2021?"
Yeah, and that's right around when I started. So,
that fall, you were with us.
Yeah. So right against each other. So
man, you're getting close to. You know where I was, Brett?
Yeah, right here.
Right here.
It feels like it.
Right here for sure.
No, that's right.
The first time I met you, you were in school at the university with WMR in the media room.
Yeah.
And Brian, I tell you what stood out is, stuck your hand out and said, "Hi, I'm Bryant Dacus."
Right.
I said, "Bryant, it's very nice to meet you." And I remember how Natalie you were dressed.
Yeah, well, that was the thing at WMR. They always told us you dress sharp, you dress like a professional, and so I think definitely started us on the right path in terms of making those first impressions with people. Because I think the Malvin Massey, who God rest his soul, is not with us anymore. He was very big on this is your start, and you're in college, you're learning, you're trying to get to know people, and you want to look nice when you do that. So I definitely give a lot of credit to him for that, because you're right. It was I was well dressed for a lot of first impressions.
You certainly were. Speaking of, have you noticed all the City Connect uniforms?
Well, Brett, a lot of City Connect uniforms
Over
out
the
there.
weekend, into last night.
Yeah, everybody's got a City Connect. We like to throw them out there, especially now, summertime. More people out at the ballpark.
Did you see the Phillies Friday night?
Yeah, my thing is I'm fine with City Connect jerseys. I think especially, we always talk about Colorado. They've got a really nice City Connect jersey.
That's the only one.
You can find ways to make it your own. Brett, I know you don't like this one. I'm a big fan of the Reds one, and one thing I like about the Reds one, stick with me, Brett, stick with me. One thing I like about the Reds uniform is it's very much Cincinnati colors. You've got the red, black, maybe not one of their colors, but it goes together. Red and black, they work together. But some of these, like the Phillies, I don't understand a full blue uniform for the Phillies.
Didn't get it.
I don't. I just doesn't click.
I won't. I haven't.
No, but hey, if that's for people, if some people like those City Connect jerseys, fine. But I need to make a list, because I'm telling you, Brett, every time I think about the City Connect jerseys, I go, you know what? I don't like many of them. And then I start thinking about them. I go, well, I like that one, and that one's not bad, and that one's pretty good. And I get down to only like 3 or 4 that I really don't like. I
can live with the Cardinals hat.
Yeah, I don't mind the Cardinals City Connect jerseys. I think they're fine.
Have you noticed though? Across baseball.
Yeah.
Oh, the Detroit Tigers City.
I'm not a fan of the Detroit Tigers jerseys.
That's the one I said would be a waste of diesel and matches.
That's right.
To even start the fire. But you go around, and invariably there's an old guy on the broadcast, and it was on the Tiger broadcast, and I don't even know who it is. I don't even know who the analyst is on the Tiger broadcast. But it came to that point where you could feel it coming too, that this is where I've got to say I like them.
Oh man!
But remember that memo I told you about?
You did, yep.
Or the email that, from a friend of mine with the Cardinals that said you're going to like them, and if you like your paycheck, you're going to say
you're
nice
really
things
like
about them.
Yeah.
And you're gonna try to drive people to the team store.
Yep.
So it got around to the old guy, and I love. They always feel like they have to start it with this. He goes, well, now I'm a traditionalist, and anytime anybody says that, you can get ready for them to break down tradition.
That's right. Of course.
You can get ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That's right.
And there go 100 years of tradition.
Right.
When I'm a traditionalist, and that D on that white uniform and that D on that hat is synonymous to me with the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
But whoever the play-by-play sidekick was, but Bob, I kind of like these. I thought, no, you don't.
No. And for the Tigers, their play-by-play guy is Jason Benetti.
That's
he
correct.
Went from the White Sox to the Tigers this year. I can definitely see Benetti trying his best, and I can hear him now trying to sell the Detroit Tigers City Connect jerseys.
Now, but Benetti, I think, naturally did
I think he does,
but the analyst was all the, I'm a traditionalist.
Sure,
and when you hear I'm a traditionalist, I'm a baseball guy, they're getting ready to kill tradition and kill baseball.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Detroit's one of the ones I do not like. But honestly.
And spirit of full disclosure, when it comes around on Ole Miss games, when it's the different look, and there's a lot of different looks out there. Right now, my standard line is if the youngsters like them, fine.
Sure.
If the players like them, fine.
I
prefer the more, and I always say, I prefer the more traditional look. But if the players playing today, if that's what they like, so be it.
By all means, wear the whatever jersey it is.
And whether it's Gary Darby or Richard Cross or David Keller or anybody, they know that's the last I want to say about it.
That's what you're going to give about it, and that's how much you want to speak about it. Honestly, Brett, and I was listening, I think to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about it. I think we need to give A.J. Hinch credit. I mean, what he is doing, you mentioned the Detroit Tigers, what he is doing with that team. 30-30 right now, back up to 500 with a win last night over the Rangers. Scooball
got
on
a
the
chance
mound.
with young pitching.
Certainly, and it feels like every time Scooball is on the mound, they've got a really good shot of winning that game. He's just such a talented pitcher. And last night, it was really, I think they had 3 guys throw last night. It was really a team effort. All their pitching looked really, really good.
Here's something you can have fun with on day-to-day baseball. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of exceptions. Certainly, Real Muto with the Phillies won. There are a couple more.
Sure.
Find me great catching.
Oh, man, Brett, literally. Well,
find me a catcher with any size.
Oh, man.
I mean, there's little bitty guys out.
Yeah.
I mean, used to catching. I mean, that was like a big old cinder block back there.
That's right. Well, and find me a catcher that's batting, better than like 260. I mean, it feels like most catchers
find me
are
a
batting
catcher
220.
Throw anybody out.
Well, that's a good point. It feels like there's like 4 or 5 of them, and then the rest it's kind of a wash. I mean, and we had the same conversation, Brett, last year during the All-Star game. I don't even remember who the catchers were during the All-Star game, but I remember having this conversation.
I couldn't come up with it.
These are the catchers that are going to represent Major League Baseball in the All-Star game. They're just not great catchers anymore.
And we always do that around. I've always done that around All-Star time, and we'll do it this year. That's SEC Media Days week and be very busy, but we'll get to it either that Tuesday or that Wednesday at some point. And we'll compare that starting 9 to 10 years ago, maybe the last time Arlington, Dallas-Fort Worth hosted the All-Star game. And every time we do that, yesteryear, of course, the passage time and Hall of Fame and all that looks great. Today always holds up, but it doesn't at catcher.
No, you're absolutely right about that, and I feel like we'll probably have the similar things to say about it this year. And you're right, it's gonna be busy this year down in Arlington. SEC Media Day is also down there in Dallas, so it's gonna be a lot of people in the Dallas area.
All-Star game on Tuesday night.
Holy cow.
And a home run derby on Monday night. Not going to either. You know what I'll be there for.
Yeah, you're there for the SEC, and certainly plenty of festivities to go around SEC Media Week. So,
boy, the list season is out.
It sure is.
I mean, we got another new round of ESPN lists today, and some very favorable and complimentary of Seth Hennigan, University of Memphis, and should be.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're going to see a lot of that. We talk so much about it, but I think it's good and it's really cool to see, ESPN or some of these national sites kind of also highlighting this Tiger team and highlighting Seth Hennigan, because I think we can talk about it as much as we want. It's right here in our backyard, and Seth has been here for 4 years, and we know him and all of that. But to see him get that national pub heading into the season, I think is great, because you look around and, for one, there are not many quarterbacks that are going into their 4th year as a starting quarterback, and even fewer quarterbacks that are going into the season as the 4th-year starter at the same school that they started. With the transfer portal and how much change there is, it's very rare now that you see that. And so for Memphis to have a guy like that has stayed here, and I think if he wanted to, if after last year he said, what, I've had good seasons, I enjoy playing here in Memphis, but I want to go and play in the SEC, or I want to play in the ACC, or wherever it might be, the Big 12. I want to play in a Power 5 conference. He could have gone and gotten his shot somewhere. Somebody would have said, hey, Seth Hennigan, we'll take you on our team. And so the fact that he decided to come back to Memphis for another year, I think speaks volumes to where this program's at, where Coach Silverfield has this, and the trust that those guys have in this coaching staff to do big things this year.
Another great list out today from the National College Football Foundation is the ballot for this year for the College Football Hall of Fame. On Monday, the National Football Foundation released it. The list includes Alabama head coach Nick Saban, former Ohio State and Florida and Bowling Green and Utah head coach Urban Meyer, Tommy Tuberville on the list.
How about that?
Here are the coaches on the list: Larry Blakeney, Jim Carlin, Pete Cawthorn, Larry Coker, Ralph Friedgen, Urban Meyer, Darrell Rogers, Nick Saban, and Tommy Tuberville. Players on the list include Michael Vick, Michael Orr, Marshawn Lynch, Ryan Leaf, Mark Ingram, Josh Heupel, Aaron Donald, and Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey's as slam dunk as anybody that ever played the sport.
Yes, he definitely is pretty
for
good.
What he did in college football.
Pretty good list of names, both coaches and players. I think, I don't think there's much conversation about any of those of should they or should they not.
Sebastian Janikowski on it. I say
good one.
Slam dunk.
I also say slam dunk.
And,
really
and
good one.
maybe ultimately Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Certainly. I definitely hope so.
For Leodwin Seabury's Oakland Raiders.
That's right,
Or Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, his Raiders. So definitely in there. But no, I saw that list. I was really glad that, Saban was on there. I think, slam dunk on Saban. Nobody's questioning should Nick Saban be in the College Football Hall of Fame.
We'll talk about it with Brent, but that will be a really special night for him. He will go in with Heisman Trophy winner Mark Ingram. And Mark Ingram, Alabama, we just waited forever to finally get a Heisman Trophy winner, and he was first, and now they have 4. And close to in the sports memorabilia world, and with my friends and my contacts, I can't get close to one. I mean, it is the Gutenberg Bible of sports memorabilia, is to have a red helmet autographed kind of in that gold highlighter with the 4 Heisman Trophy winners, Ingram, Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith, and Bryce Young, and Coach Saban on it.
Wow, that is incredible.
It's just almost impossible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you could go over to Arkansas and dig at the diamond mine and find a Hope Diamond
for sure,
easier.
For sure. So no, that's definitely cool to see that list of guys going in to the College Football Hall of Fame. Definitely cool to see. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. Very busy show today, jam-packed with, 3:30, Michael Bratton, the host of the SEC podcast, will join us to talk about the upcoming football season in the SEC. Plenty to get to. I mean, what is the storyline going into this season for the SEC? The expanded playoffs, Texas and Oklahoma entering. I mean, just so much this year for the SEC, so we'll get to a lot of SEC talk at 3:30 with Michael Bratton. 3:45, the College World Series Super Regionals are set after we had a pair of games last night. One started while we were on air, but didn't finish till we were off, and then UConn and Oklahoma finished late last night. So we'll talk about both those games and what the Super Regionals look like. We have times now for all of those Super Regional games this coming up weekend. So we'll talk a lot of that at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. He'll join us, talk some more college football. Plenty to get to with Brent. 4:30, we'll talk some more NBA Finals as we're getting closer and closer each day. We're getting a little bit closer to Thursday when we have Game 1 of those NBA Finals. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Bo Marchant joins us to talk the NFL, and we'll have to start with the big news that we touched on yesterday, Brett, of Justin Jefferson signing his 4-year extension, massive numbers, $140 million extension to stay with the Vikings. So we'll talk to him about that. At 5 o'clock, 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Summer is here, and it's time to party. 24-foot above-ground pools, $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and robotic cleaners now 20% off. Select in-stock patio furniture also up to 50% off. Play gyms up to $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas 20% off, and 4-person hot tubs only $29.99. Discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while supplies last. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by Leodwin Seabury. You got Bryant, you got Brett, you got Sports Time. We're with you until 6 o'clock, and we want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line, and also Sissy's Log Cabin brings us our guest line at 901-360-8255. All our guests like Michael Bratton, Brent Beard, and Beau Marchand all will appear on that Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673. But better yet, stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500. You'll be looking, you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has to be what we talked about yesterday with Major League Baseball. They banned Tucupita Marcana after he bet on games for the team he played on last year when he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Brett, we also got more news about it this morning. We talked a lot about it yesterday, but we got more news today. He only won like 4.3% of the bets he placed on baseball. So
betting against the Pirates?
Well, Brett, he must not have been betting against the Pirates. He must have been betting on the Pirates or something, because no way you could have been going, if you had consistently gone against the Pirates last year, I think you would have won more than 4.3% of your bets. But he was not the only player that came out today that faced some sort of suspension. He was the only player banned, but 5 other minor league players suspended for a year for betting on baseball. So it's definitely a big thing. I saw Jeff Passan was on earlier. I believe he was on with Pat McAfee, and they asked him kind of about Mercado being banned and then these other players being suspended, and kind of what is this kind of a one-off for baseball. And it was really interesting. Brett, we were talking yesterday about Jeff Passan and just how honest he is, and doesn't really shy away from anything. He's going to tell the
Fearless.
facts like they are. He's going to tell the truth. He's going to tell it how it is. And I really respect him for that. And he said earlier today on Pat McAfee that this is only the start, not only for Major League Baseball, but for Major League sports in general, what we were talking about yesterday. And even so much,
it's going to touch everybody at some
100%.
point.
And even went so far to say that he was shocked that these guys use their real names on these betting sites, that he said he would not be surprised if some people were betting and using other people's name, maybe using a wife, a girlfriend's name, a buddy's name, something like that, to try to get around it. But these guys straight up use their names.
Everybody's not doing it, but it's going to touch every sport.
Yes. No, he said that every sport is going to have to deal with something like this. We've already seen NBA have to deal with it with Jonte Porter. We're now seeing Major League Baseball dealing with it.
A lot of people are speeding. That doesn't mean everybody's doing it.
Exactly.
A lot of people with performance-enhancing drugs. It doesn't mean everybody's doing it.
There's a much larger percentage of Major League players that are not going anywhere close to this. Jeff Passan brought up what you brought up yesterday.
People cheat on their taxes. It doesn't mean everybody does it.
He also brought up what you said, Brett, is every time you walk into a Major League Baseball clubhouse, you see the rules plastered on the walls, and it's right there in perfectly fine
Rule
print.
21, which is apropos, isn't it? 21.
Well,
blackjack.
But it is something that I think we're going to see pop up here and there in pro sports, and maybe we said it yesterday, and I hate to say it, I think we're even going to see it in college sports.
And it's going to be. It's just human nature. We disappoint people.
Sure.
We're so good. People are so good to each other too, whether it's charity or neighbors or whatever. We also can fall short.
Absolutely.
I mean, we just do. We're humans. We're going to disappoint people. And there's going to be somebody fall through the crack, and there's going to be a screaming headline scandal. And as I said yesterday, you can get ready for when it hits college. The first thing is going to be cancel the sport.
No,
you don't do that.
We don't need to go that far.
Get a cooler head about you than that. My top story, Kyrie Irving says he wants his best. He wasn't his best self during his Celtics tenure. He certainly wasn't.
No.
Now, Kyrie, you need to do Brooklyn. But I like the positive self-reflection that he's doing, the analysis that he's doing. We all have to do that too. Because, again, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. I think you need to recognize when you do and try to improve from there. Maybe Kyrie needs to rethink that whole flat earth stuff, too. while he's at it. I mean, he went to Duke. I mean,
Well.
you can't be that dumb and go to Duke, can you? But on the floor, he will be the finals leader in points scored in final series games. That's how few of the old guard is there. We've really got a change in the guard. He's 49th all time in points scored in NBA Finals with 360. That's only 19 behind Jerry West for most in finals history.
Well, that's pretty good company.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it also has to do with the NBA Finals, and it is the availability of Kristaps Porzingis. He said earlier today while talking to the media that the plan is for him to be available in Game 1 of the NBA Finals against the Dallas Mavericks. But, he's still wary on how his leg will respond. This was the quote from him. Again, quote, "Again, it's a couple more days, and I think that can make a difference. Every day gives me a bit more time to get even better." So it sounds like even if he's not 100%, he's still going to try to give it a go and try to help this Boston Celtics team. And I think, everybody was in agreement of Kristaps Porzingis being out definitely hurts this Boston Celtics team a little bit. And so having him available, being able to have him out there will certainly help. But that's going to be another storyline that not many people are talking about. The fact that Kristaps was once on that Dallas Mavericks team with Luka, and doesn't seem like it ended very well from all accounts. So that'll be another thing to watch. Not only Kyrie going back to Boston where he might have some bad blood, but Kristaps going back to Dallas where there might be some bad blood.
Right, I like the anticipation.
Sure.
It's building to Thursday night instead of just kind of getting lost in the,
That's right.
Just the storm of summer sports. We wait, and we have to wait a little bit for it. My not top story: the Cardinals 1-3 in their last 4 after the best stretch over the last 2 seasons. They don't have near enough to challenge for anything big, but can they get one of those wild cards? Will they go for it? Crowds are down, but crowds will respond in St. Louis if they are going for it. But for the Cardinals owners, Brian, under the banner of it's always tough times, it's always cost-cutting, frugal times for the DeWitts.
It always is. Never the bright spot. It's always tough in St. Louis. That'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. And when we come back, we're talking SEC football with Michael Bratton.
Since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TURN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facility safe and your people safer. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli, it's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats, Sportsworthy, and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. I'm really excited about our next guest joining us to talk some SEC football. Michael Bratton, the host of the SEC podcast. Go give him a follow on Twitter at Michael W. Bratton. Michael, thanks so much for joining us. It's kind of list season right now. Everybody throwing out their hot takes and putting their list together for the upcoming football season. So what is your maybe hot take going into the season, or your biggest prediction going into this SEC year?
Oh, well, how much time you got? You need, I got quite a few of them, but I don't know. I guess just off the top of my head, I think Ole Miss should be competing for a national championship this year. How's that?
Wow. It's a pretty good one.
That is a stunner, Michael. I heard you say that yesterday on Paul Feinbaum's show, but also heard you say it's a double-edged sword, that Ole Miss can win it all, but that Lane Kiffin is on the hottest seat in the SEC.
Well, I didn't quite say hottest seat, but I'm saying most pressure.
Gotcha.
And point being, if Stan Pittman fails at Arkansas, if Billy Napier fails at Florida, I mean, are any of you going to be surprised? That's essentially what most people are expecting, right? Yeah. So I just think all the chips are on the table for Ole Miss, so to speak, and I know people are always looking. I mean, I'm getting it now today. If Billy Napier gets fired tomorrow, how soon are they calling Lane Kiffin? Mm-hmm. Well, if Lane Kiffin goes 8-4 with this roster, I don't think Florida would touch him. You know what I mean? So the point being is I think Lane Kiffin's got a lot to prove as an elite head coach. Now, if he gets Ole Miss to the playoff, if he gets them, like I'm saying, to the national championship, I mean, he may be a top 3 coach in the country. Mm-hmm. But he's got a lot to prove, but I think he's got a lot to lose this season as well.
I'm with you on every accord of that, Michael, but also this. Since Lane hit Oxford, haven't people been blowing him out of there from day one, and now he's starting year 5?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And but at the same time, he was bending over backwards to try to get that Alabama job a couple months ago. So he is not as entrenched in there as some would believe. Now, again, that's Alabama, and sure, we all know the connection there. And hey, I'm a Tennessee grad, so I'm not going to talk too nice about Alabama, but we can all agree that's right now a top 2 or 3 program in the country, and what you can accomplish there, you can get a lot more done than in Oxford, and that's me saying Ole Miss can win a national championship. So I'm not talking down to Ole Miss, but that's just the reality of it.
How many of those teams that are in the group being bandied about to make the college football playoff? Well, I'll just go down them. We all know Georgia can win it, so we can save time, win it all. We all think Texas can. So far, so good, Michael?
No, you lost me at Texas already.
Okay.
I'm not buying the hype with the Longhorns. Now, could they be good? Yeah, sure. I get it. And everything Sarkisian's saying coming out of there, he seems to be very confident about his team, and that's great. They won the Big 12 for the first time in like 20 years. So I'm not ready to kiss their rings. Their quarterback gets injured every year. They lost all the weapons around him, and their defense was much better than the offense. I don't know why everybody is enamored with Sark in the offense when the defense was a lot better last season than the offense, and their 2 run stuffers are now in the NFL. So they got a lot of holes there in Austin.
Okay, can a team like Alabama win it all? Can Mizzou win it all? Can LSU win it all?
Not LSU. I wouldn't think so either, but Alabama, I certainly think they could. Maybe Tennessee kind of stretching there. I think Oklahoma, is coming in kind of under the radar. And then I think the ultimate wild card is A&M. Now that they've run Jimbo out of there, they've got a qualified adult coaching the program. I think the Aggies, again, I wouldn't favor them to win the national championship or anything, but it would not stun me if they're in the college football playoff.
Can you blame us, me, we, everybody out there for being really scalded, burned so badly by A&M with preseason predictions?
I mean, heck, I'm hearing it from the Aggies. I said, please, we appreciate the love. Please just stop. Because they've heard it every year for 6-7 years. You know what? So, again, I'm not sitting here saying they're going to be, a lock to make the playoff, but they got the talent. They've got the quarterback. I really love the offensive coordinator they hired, and Mike Elko. He may be right now. If you want to fast forward a year, where's a coach that nobody right now is saying, that's one of the top coaches in the game. In a year from now, it could be Mike Elko.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. I'm curious. So Brett was asking about, national championship hopes, but I'm curious, say in a month from now when everyone's at SEC Media Days, how many teams feel like it's a go-for-it year to just be in the 12-team college football playoffs? How many teams in the SEC kind of have that expectation of we can get into the playoffs this year?
Now, the teams or the fans? Because the fans...
Well, that's a good question. That's a good point.
I'd say about 12 of the fan base
Sure.
think they're going to get there, which is going to be interesting. But, no, I think realistically of the teams, I'd say about half the conference. Yeah. And that's probably where it should be every year. Now, that's not saying half the teams are going to make it, but I think about half of them are going to be in the running till late November. So, again, truthfully, I was not a big fan of expansion because there's many reasons for it, but it could make the end of the season. I mean, every game literally could matter for teams trying to get into the college football playoff.
Michael, tell our listeners about your podcast, what you do daily, how they can listen, and how you always seem to be at the bottom of stirring something up.
Oh, yeah. So it's called That SEC Podcast, available anywhere you get your podcast. We're on YouTube. That's starting to blow up as well, but it's just me and my cousin Shane, and I've worked in the media for a number of years. Cousin Shane is just your average guy that drinks beers and watches games, and he's the funniest guy I've ever met in my life. So we certainly don't take ourselves too seriously, and we just sit back and have a good old time.
Will they let Cousin Shane deep in the heart of Texas at SEC Media Days?
Yeah, believe it or not, they have already credentialed us now. If I keep running my mouth, they could revoke that at any time. But that's kind of the business model as you've suggested there.
Tell us about up on Rocky Top. Is Nico the real thing, or was the bowl game a mirage?
Yeah, no, I believe he is the real deal, and I think as much hype and all that around Nico, I think what Tennessee's really going to be hanging their hat on this year is they're bringing back nearly everybody on the offensive and defensive line. And I think that'll be far more critical, particularly with having a first-year quarterback. He's going to be protected. They went out and stole away one of LSU's offensive tackles to fill in at left tackle. So I think Tennessee is going to be one of the, if not the strongest in the SEC on the line of scrimmage. They're going to be up there. So I think that's going to be paramount for the Vols. And if Nico can, he doesn't have to be Hendon Hooker, but if he's better than Joe Milton, which I think it's safe to say he will be, I mean, Tennessee's going to be right there in playoff contention as well.
did Tennessee just enjoy the best sports year in the Big Three sports?
Yeah,
Or enjoying it, still enjoying it with maybe Omaha?
Yeah, I think you could certainly make that case, and really it's due to leadership. That's what Tennessee has been lacking for seemingly 2 decades, and now they finally have competent leaders at the chancellor, at AD, of course, and obviously at the head coaching position in many, many sports. So it's wild how different things can change once you have some competent leaders running the university.
Michael, I knew I liked you. I like your hits on Feinbaum. I like listening to you on Jocks. I like dipping into the podcast, and Bryant can attest. I knew Danny White back to when he was one of the lieutenants at Ole Miss, and the day he was hired, I said Tennessee's getting its you-know-what together.
Right, and that's really what they needed to do. Man, it's wild to think back. I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad about Philip Fulmer, but there at the end with Pruitt and all the circus that was, it's hard to believe that they have it in this order this quickly.
Yeah. You talked about Texas earlier. You're not buying into them yet with coming into the SEC. But what does year one in the SEC look like for both Texas and Oklahoma? You talked about Texas, but Oklahoma, first year Brent Venables, doesn't go very well. Last year, 10-3, much better. But what does life look like for these two teams in year one in the SEC?
Well, I think certainly Texas is better on the line of scrimmage than Oklahoma, and that's going to be paramount. Again, that's not something that's very sexy to talk about, but that is more important than anything in the Southeastern Conference.
Definitely.
So I like Texas got the edge there, but I don't know. I mean, when I watched Oklahoma last year, I was wildly impressed because, like you alluded to there, I didn't even know if Brent Venables was going to be the coach coming into the SEC because they were so bad the first year, but they took such a leap forward. Remember, they beat Texas last year. They kind of fell apart there at the end, some close losses last season. But I'm just a little worried that all this hype with Texas, I just don't know. I think they beat what we all perceived to be an elite Alabama, but Alabama was not elite. So I think people kind of got ahead of themselves there. Heck, Alabama nearly lost to South Florida right after that. You know what I mean? So that Alabama was in dismay last year. They did correct it. So we'd look back now and say, well, Texas beat them in Tuscaloosa. So, but had they played that game in November, I think Alabama would have whooped them pretty good.
Yeah, but they got them good in that September game, and really, if Ewers doesn't get hurt, they probably beat Bama the year before at a steamy, at one of the hottest games ever in Austin between UT and Alabama. Our guest is Michael Bratton, and we love having him with us. He's host of the SEC podcast, and you can follow him on the Twitter X machine at Michael W. Bratton. He's on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Michael, on game day on offense, with the play sheet in front of them, the headset on, or if they're in the press box, who's the offensive whiz kid in the SEC right now? If everybody's kind of got commensurate talent, who's the guy that's the play caller extraordinaire?
Yeah, it's a great question, but I still think I would have to lean Lane Kiffin. Now Sarkisian is right there, and Josh Heupel's probably third in that bracket right there. But I
was playing for a Bobby Petrino answer.
Well, yeah, I mean we'll see on that. But I was wildly impressed with what he did at Texas A&M last year. I think that flew under the radar. The improvements. A&M averaged 11 more points per game last year than they had when Jimbo was called. Don't get me started on Jimbo and how god-awful he was. But A&M played 4 different quarterbacks last year, and to still have that type of production, you make a good case for Bobby Petrino, but I don't know. I still think I would take Heupel, Kiffin, and Sark over Bobby P.
And it's why I think those coaches you just named, with maybe Lane at the top and Heupel close runner-up, with the communication in the helmet for the quarterback, it's going to be a cheat code for a couple of them.
Yeah, no doubt. And I don't think that's being discussed nearly enough, particularly at the pace that Ole Miss and Tennessee and now Mississippi State will want to be running their offense at. But I mean that just takes it to another level, in my opinion.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Well, Michael, thanks so much for joining us. This was a ton of fun, and let's do this again soon sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Michael, so much. Thank you.
Michael Bratton joining us from That SEC Podcast. Go check it out wherever you get your podcast. Also, go give him a follow on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I'm sticking to my roots. I'm calling it Twitter.
We're staying true to it.
Michael W. Bratton. Yeah, no, I'm not.
At Jack. He's always in our heart at Jack, isn't he?
That's right. Yes, Jack. Old Jack in Twitter. So I'll keep calling it Twitter. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, last night, some fun games in the College World Series regionals. Now the Super Regionals are all set. We'll talk about what it looks like, what happened in those two games last night. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Summer's heating up, and so are the savings at Choate's. We've got 3 incredible offers to make your season spectacular. First up, our Grill and Chill with Choate's Summer Special. Upgrade your HVAC system and choose between a free Yeti cooler or a Green Egg Grill on select systems. Then power through any outage with Choate's generators. Be one of the first 50 customers to buy a generator and score a massive 75-inch TV or an iPad. Also, don't forget about our tankless water heater offer. Purchase a tankless water heater from Choate's and receive a premium toilet free. Don't wait. These offers are too good to last. Turn to the experts with Choate's and call 347-8086 or visit us online today for your free estimate. Now introducing Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. Choate's, let our family serve your family.
Any day is a good day to sell your home. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Venstore Realtors, but the absolute best days to sell your home are those days that end with a Y. That's right. Numerous scientific studies and my friend Kevin, who is also a wine connoisseur, have shown that if you want to sell your home, make sure and use my highly successful strategic marketing program and list on the day ending in a Y. Now think about it. Who would be foolish enough to not trust science and a wine connoisseur? Seriously, changes are happening in the real estate industry, and it's not just that sellers don't know the answers, they don't know the questions. That's why I'm here. If you or someone you know is thinking of selling, I always tell people to talk to 2 to 3 experienced real estate brokers and make sure that I am one of them. Find out why people often say, when you want the job done, you call Shell Done. Call me at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. Remember, MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better? I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Impossible! Not call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 901-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats, Norsworthy, and Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and we talked a lot yesterday about the College World Series, some really interesting games, some really interesting series, but we had two games, Florida, and I don't remember who they were playing now yesterday afternoon. They started before we got off, and then later into the night, Oklahoma State, that's exactly right, at Oklahoma State. That game started while we were still on, didn't end until we were done. And then late last night, we had the UConn and Oklahoma game, which was incredible. UConn getting the big win there.
And North Carolina LSU was good last night.
We had four really fun games yesterday to wrap up regional play. And so, a lot of really good stuff. But I was really surprised. UConn's pitching was really good. Their defense was really good. There were a couple of balls that were hit by Oklahoma that I said, oh, that's definitely dropping. Here comes Oklahoma. They're going to rally. And never able to really get anything going.
Brian, I love that people listen this closely and can take issue with whatever. So yesterday I said, great sports year for UConn.
Sure.
Got a tweet, an X back. Such a good year, they went 3-9 in football. You're leaving out the big part of the sports year that I was talking about.
Good Lord. Wow. Tell them to come see me about UConn football. I love me some UConn football.
Would you take 3-9 in football if you could win it all in basketball and go to the super regionals in baseball?
Yeah, I think so. I think.
And by the way, Gino Auriemma always has a pretty good team in that sports year.
Always has a good women's basketball team. I think I would take that over a 3-9 season on the football field.
Tennessee had a good one. Now they did have to fire the women's basketball coach.
Yes.
That's because their standards are really high.
Very, very high there at Tennessee. So now the Super Regionals are set. I'll run through these matchups real quick before we talk about a couple of them. Evansville in Tennessee, they'll play in a Super Regional. UConn versus Florida State. Kansas State versus Virginia. West Virginia versus North Carolina. Oregon, Texas A&M. Florida versus Clemson. NC State versus Georgia. And then Oregon State and Kentucky. I'm really excited. I think we got some really good matchups this weekend in the Super
I'm going to
Regionals.
wave the SEC flag, but it won't wreck my year if it doesn't happen for the SEC. There's a lot of me pulling for Florida State.
Sure.
To finally do it.
Yeah, well, it's such a good program.
And it could be out in Omaha with the Gators.
Certainly.
Play nice, Knowles and Gators fans.
Please, that would be a lot of fun. But and Florida State's a team that I know Alan Bell, when he joins us on Fridays, all year long we've been talking about college baseball, and he's talked a lot about this Florida State team can really hit the ball extremely well, and especially earlier in the season. I mean, there were games where you'd look up and Florida State's hung 15 on somebody, and it was just okay, that's Florida State for you. So that's
pretty good sports year for NC State.
Pretty good sports year for NC State, absolutely. Getting to the Final Four, and football had a really good season, and now baseball. Look up and always a really good program they've got over there on the diamond. NC State.
Who's always there? Who have I talked about? Has spent more money in booster history. Phil Knight.
No, absolutely. Oregon. Yeah, you're absolutely
always
right.
there.
And
in everything.
And Oregon, out of all of these teams, and Brett, you probably know where I'm going here, and I can't wait till July 1st is the date, I guess. Out of all these teams, I've watched all of them play. I've seen all of these teams play baseball in the regular season. Oregon, haven't been able to watch a second because all their games are on Pac-12 Network. Can't watch them, and so I don't know much about this Oregon team this year. If I'm being
watched
honest.
Some of their game. Boy, it was on late over the weekend against someone. I think they had weather issues, and it really got started late. That's another thing. We need to get the live bug on the screen and bigger, because I'm watching some of these games, and I don't know if it's today or yesterday or 2 weeks ago or when it is.
Well, you got to always be looking for that live bug. And,
I think I asked you yesterday, is this live? Or
you did, one of the games. And,
who was that?
Who was that? It might have been.
Was it Evansville? All right.
Leon,
crack your mic open. I'm going to ask y'all a true or false question.
All right, here we go.
True or false? The greatest athlete in Evansville Purple Aces history is Jerry Sloan. True or false?
False, Brett. And I don't care whether you say it's true or not. False. Leon, why don't you give your answer?
Well, he's probably the only one that I've heard of, so I guess it's true.
That's me. That's the only one I ever know. Brian, can you offer another one?
DeAndre Williams. I mean, please, Evansville finest.
The top rope with DeAndre. Yes.
So,
really good. That's a good answer.
A lot of local bias there, I guess, but certainly DeAndre.
Jerry Sloan was a tough player for some. I mean, really scrappy Bulls teams.
Yep.
Norm Van Leer and Bob Love, and they didn't have a lot of success. They had some success. They didn't have a lot of success. And then he was the legendary coach of the tough luck runner up always with Utah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and that's definitely the right answer. But
he could set a screen.
He sure could. Wasn't afraid to do it either. But no, I'm really excited for these super regionals, and I think some really fun matchups.
I couldn't for $1 billion tell you one person to ever play baseball at Evansville unless Jerry Sloan did.
I wonder if I can find.
I don't know if he did.
Evansville baseball notable alums. It's probably risky because I don't know.
I mean, I just know where to even begin.
No, I don't either.
We know UConn's. It's George Springer.
No, absolutely. That's a really good one.
And he's in deal talk.
Yeah, he certainly is. And I think I didn't have enough time to look at it, but Jeff Passan has a story up kind of breaking down the biggest what he thinks trade deadline, who could go where, who could do what. So
they're not dealing young Bichette, young Guerrero.
No, I don't.
But the Cardinals could get Springer without having to give up a lot.
I think most of the rest of that Blue Jays roster is out there for at least for conversation. So it's gonna be fun as we get closer to that time of year, trade deadline season in Major League Baseball. See, which one of these teams become sellers and which ones become buyers. So that will be a lot of fun. And certainly this weekend with these super regionals will be a ton of fun to watch. But we need to go ahead and get to a break and wrap up this hour. When we come back to start our 4 o'clock hour, we're talking more college football with Brent Beard.
Take your basketball shooting and passing skills to new levels at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge science and technology and provides instant objective feedback with actual hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching that will help make you the best basketball player on any court. Shoot 360 is utilized by a diverse range of basketball players from NBA to college, high school to aspiring young talents. All skill levels use the Shoot 360 basketball program to learn proper shooting techniques, improve their fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge. Shoot 360 Memphis will be moving soon to a bigger and more convenient location in Cordova. So sign up with them now before the big move June 1st. Shoot 360 Memphis. Call them today at 901-316-5500. That's 901-316-5500. Or visit them at 85 Market Center Drive in Collierville. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation.
Did you get anything on
physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Don't miss a second. NWSO action. Every matchup, from kickoff to equalizers, every PK, every save.
The best players in the world play here. Find where to watch at nwsosoccer.com/watch. NWSL. We play here. Booting Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toe boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nevo lights, good-looking duckhead dress shirts, duckhead caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Times Ranch jeans. Done, we have a great selection of old style t-shirts and caps, fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Booting Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We're looking at a crash over here on 240 westbound at Poplar. It's got traffic pretty slow go. Now, it's westbound. Normally, it's slow eastbound this time of the afternoon. But again, westbound 240 at Poplar is just crawling along because of this accident involving some injuries. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry here in Memphis has specialized in bridal ring purchases since 1984. Go by and see them at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting stations. Oh, yeah. College football talk every Tuesday with Brent Beard, Heisman voter, and on Twitter X at Brent Beard. SEC, ACC, AAC. We talk it all with Brent. Here's Brent Beard with Bryant and Brent.
Brent Beard joins us now from First Coast News in Jacksonville to talk some college football, talk a little SEC, talk a little ACC. He joins us like all our guests do on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Brent, thanks so much for joining us. Plenty to get to today, but I want to start off with some Florida news. I saw earlier this morning that high school players, the FHSAA approved name, image, and likeness for high school players in the state of Florida. What did you make of that news this morning?
Well, it's big news. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. It's almost as big as Florida. There's a baseball team getting into the super regionals, and if Florida's softball team is able to beat Oklahoma twice in a row, that would be even bigger news. But this is coming down, and it's frankly so new, we almost don't know how to deal with this right now. But
how much would Derrick Henry and Derek Thomas had made?
Good gosh almighty.
Michael Irvin, Deion Sanders.
Right. Yeah, just keep going. But it would have been, frankly, unbelievable. Now, what's interesting about this, too,
all of them, you would have to take a pay cut.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that.
I got that in, didn't I, Brent?
Yeah, you sure did. I'm proud of you for that. What's going with this two guys is, and I get this, the coaches here, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but coaches here get basically a next to nothing supplement. I mean, high school coaches. And there's actually a bill in the legislature where high school coaches will actually get a substantial raise. So I think they were really hoping that they could get something done with that instead of having to deal with NIL first. In our neighboring state of Georgia, high school coaches get 6 figures and a truck. And here, I think the biggest supplement I saw in this story about NIL was like $8,000 to go along with the money they would make as a teacher. So that has, but both these situations have been a real bugaboo here for years on where this would be going. But it's almost too early to know. I think obviously, and I'll be honest with you, I have a lot of mixed emotions about this. I mean, college players getting NIL is one thing. High school players, I mean, the college players you would think would be a little bit more mature about the division of the money. Now, high school players, does this just go on to the 5 stars, or how is this going to be done? And those are still things that we're waiting on right now.
Yeah, that's a good point, and kind of like how it started with college with NIL. It was all kind of a guessing game, and we'll see how it works. And now, kind of same thing with high school. Brent, last week after we talked to you, I think it was Thursday maybe, we got more scheduling news for the SEC for a lot of different conferences. But most notably in the SEC, it looks like, we now know Ole Miss and Mississippi State will now be Friday afternoon, the 2:30 slot that Arkansas and Missouri has been in the past. It looks like, according to Arkansas's website, that game will be moved to Saturday at some point. Time and network has not been set yet. But what do you make of the Egg Bowl going from a Thanksgiving Thursday night to Black Friday afternoon?
Well, if it doesn't mess up Brett Norworthy's schedule too much, I think it should be okay. Yeah.
I ate that whole week anyway, so that's, starting with Halloween, Brent. Starting with Halloween, I call it eating season.
There you go.
So
I like that. Yeah, it's like talking season.
Yeah.
Right now with the coaches, that is eating season. I mean, look, who wouldn't like an SEC doubleheader? Mississippi State and Ole Miss. That's right, because at least Brett will be in the friendly confines. And then you've got
I'm so well received, though, when we go to Starkville, though, Brent.
I know you are. And then Georgia Tech at Georgia. We did TV the other night, and my co-host, who's the anchor, is a big Georgia fan. So I mentioned that game just because a lot of people had not heard that yet. He says, well, really, is this a rivalry? Georgia Tech really hadn't won this game in quite a while, so I don't know if you call it a rivalry yet.
That's really true. And, Mike Griffith, that has been a lot of places, well-known SEC media person, he wants the elimination of that game, and I can't argue with the case. The natural comeback from traditionalists like us. Here I go, Brent, Brian. You say tradition, then you start tearing something down, and I'm getting ready to do it. With that game, you say tradition. It's always Thanksgiving weekend is tradition, and Mike's comeback is LSU and Tulane used to be tradition too, and they got rid of that.
Right. Well, I know, sometimes it just depends on the situation. I mean, would it be? Would it bother anybody? Frankly, probably not. but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. They really need to look at that and see would that be worth it. And I think a lot of that would depend on what Georgia's schedule is. And look, as tough as that schedule is for Georgia this year, they're probably glad to have Tech compared to how easy it was last year. Now, my big question for y'all is, and y'all probably noticed this like I have, the Black Friday schedule, I don't know if you could say it's doubled, but the Black Friday schedule, I know they played a lot of games on Black Friday, but they often, and they televise a decent amount, but there's a lot more games, if I'm looking at this schedule right, than we've seen on Friday for Black Friday. I'm just wondering on this, guys, did TV take a look at this and say, people are home that day, or they're back from shopping by maybe noon or early afternoon? What if we put games on from noon until midnight, because you've got Utah at UCF starting at 8? Did y'all find that interesting like I did?
Brent, I did, and I don't blame them, because for a lot of people, we're not all at the mall at 4 a.m.
That's right.
And I love to save money, but I don't need to save $20 and stand in line for 8 hours at the mall at 4 o'clock in the morning on a big screen
Absolutely
TV.
Not.
Now, I like $20 as much as the next fella, but I think some of that's ridiculous. And also, I think there's this component to it, Brent, is it's full. Well, it's not full retreat because the Tigers and Tulane are going to play on Thanksgiving, but the NFL won the battle of Thanksgiving. And Brent, we can remember Coach Pat Dye's last game at Auburn was a Thanksgiving Iron Bowl.
It sure was.
We can remember a lot of Texas A&M games. I know Nebraska, Oklahoma was usually a Friday thing of Thanksgiving weekend on that day after, but that was pretty much standalone. Arkansas and Texas Tech played one time on that day after, I think, but it has not been a very populated day, but it is now.
Well, I wonder, and they probably will never admit this, but I wonder how close, or if they really thought about putting Texas and Texas A&M on Thanksgiving night. There was a little bit of that talked about. Also, there was a little bit about that talked about them starting the season. But Brett's point's a good one. Look, I like Thanksgiving games, and particularly if there are some college games on. I mean, you would get a little bit of a break if you're playing Thanksgiving night. And get basically almost a couple of days of rest if you're playing in a championship game. Sure. But yeah, that obviously is another reason why you've got so many Black Friday games.
I like being busy that weekend, and I've done it a lot of times with Egg Bowl Thursday. I've been to Tigers Houston on that Friday.
Oh, yeah.
We remember when that kind of settled in for a few years. I've done Friday Egg Bowl, Saturday Iron Bowl. I've done Thursday Egg, Saturday Iron a lot of times. In 2008, because it's teams I love, it was my favorite Egg Iron year. 45-0 Ole Miss on Friday and 36-0 Bama on Saturday, 81-0 for me in Egg Iron weekend. So I celebrated with going 81 and a 55 coming up Highway 45 that Sunday and got a speeding ticket.
How about that?
Hey, did that state trooper not understand the significance of you going that speed?
No chance.
Bubble top Mississippi Highway patrolman pulled me over, nice as he could be. He said, "Sir, young too." He said, "Sir, I'm so sorry." He said, "Zero tolerance Thanksgiving weekend." I said, "Sir, please, you do your job." I said, "I had the crew set on 81. How stupid in a 55 can you be?"
Oh man!
I said, "You do your job."
Yeah.
Hey. Did Mama ever hear about that one?
Oh yeah. I've told it to everyone. I think I've had one moving violation since then. I think I've had one.
Yeah.
They never go away.
No, that's true.
I didn't know that.
On your insurance. No.
Good to know.
Yeah, they love that on the insurance.
Of course.
That's just
it
another
never
excuse
goes away.
no good excuse to get it up again. Yeah,
that was Senator Tuberville's last Iron Bowl I witnessed that day, Brent. I think you were there as well.
Oh.
Yeah, that was. And by the way,
who knew what that would start?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, yeah. Speaking of a good senator, in the Hall of Fame voting, he actually is up for the Hall of Fame.
I think he should go in, Brent. I think he is a Hall of Fame coach. I do.
The trouble is, I've got to think about how many. Is it 2 or 4? I don't
2.
remember. Okay. Well, the thing about it is you've got Nick Saban and Urban Meyer, so I wonder who's going in.
They're going in, and you know where I stand on Urban Meyer, and I know I make not angry, but I irritate some in my love of Urban over Steve Spurrier, and it has not won me any friends.
Yeah. Well, the problem is
three beats one, 2 at Florida beats one.
And there's no doubt about it. And look, I've said this many times. Urban Meyer is next in line for the Ring of Honor at Florida, but there's some Bull Gators who don't want it. But in the same vein, they're not giving those rings back either, are they?
They sure aren't. In stadium expansion and the Tim Tebow years, they're sure not. You know, we can get awfully sanctimonious after the fact, but during the middle of it, when he walked by, they were bowing.
Oh yes, yeah, sure they were. Yeah, no doubt about that. But look, I mean, you've even got. I appreciate Larry Blakeney, what he did at Troy. Jim Carlin, who was at 3 schools, including South Carolina, Ralph Regan, who did an admirable job at Maryland, Darrell Rogers.
But it's not the admirable Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame.
It's not.
It's not. He did a notable job. It's not. He did an average job. I think when you go over any Hall of Fame list, if it's not instantaneously yes, then it's no.
Yeah. Well, and that's why these folks have been on the list for years, and they will probably be on the list for years.
Sure.
But Coach Billy Murphy, it took a long time for him to finally get in. I thought he was an immediate yes, but it took a long time for them to put him in, and he finally got in a few years ago here, the longtime coach of the University of Memphis Tigers and athletics director.
Yeah. It absolutely did take a little too long for me. I was talking to Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. Brent, I'm curious, how much do you look into, how much do you take for value the Football Power Index from ESPN that was released yesterday? I've heard a lot of people talking about it. 6 SEC teams in the top 10 of the FPI index, but Ole Miss, who I know we've talked very highly about for the last couple of weeks, they have them at 16, and Florida 4 spots behind them at number 20.
It is, which also is amazing, because Florida is 37 in both the magazines. Well, I mean, look, for these magazines that have come out, there'll be a lot of copycat over the next few weeks for this. As far as, and again, look, as far as ESPN is concerned, I'm sure this is their post-portal poll is what it amounts to here, but it's it's similar in a lot of ways to what you've got in both the magazines. You've got some schools a little more better thought of than others. Miami's in the top 25 for the you haven't seen that a lot. Auburn at 19 and Florida at 20. That's going to be a lot of folks not seeing eye to eye with those two, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I was shocked when I saw 16 or Ole Miss at 16. I'm curious. Brett and I were talking earlier. We might have talked about it a day or two ago as well. Tennessee, a lot of hype going into the season about this team, and also their young quarterback Nico. We saw one game from him last year, the bowl game, where he really showed out and looked really good. I think got a lot of people excited about what he can do in the future for Tennessee. But what does this year look like for him as the starting quarterback for a full season?
Well, it's going to be fascinating to see. I mean, they love him, and they think he's going to be tremendous. I've heard some comparisons to Peyton Manning. I'm not sure I'd go that far anytime soon.
It's high praise, I guess.
Frankly,
I'd slow way down on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brew McCoy and Squirrel come back.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's still up to the defense and where that's going to go. I mean, Omar Thomas, Bryson Eason, the James Pierce kid at defensive end is going to be incredible. And again, fascinating schedule. Probably a tougher game that people realize at NC State early on than at Arkansas and at Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky. Boy, that's pretty tough in a row. There are no gimmies on this one either. Mm-hmm. Big game at Georgia. Now, that's not for the Eastern Division title at all. And then they end with UTEP and Vanderbilt. So I don't know. I've even heard beat writers for Tennessee say that they didn't quite think this was going to be the year, that they probably maybe be a year next year when they would make the playoffs. But I do like Nico. I think he'll be a better. I have more confidence right now in Nico than I do Joe Milton.
Well,
Brandon, in college baseball, is this finally the year for Florida State, and has Arkansas become Florida State in baseball?
That was a real surprise, wouldn't it?
Sure
very disappointing for the Hogs. Now, look, Florida State really back again, really excited about where they are. I mean, obviously, number 9, Mr. Martin was there for years, and they were, frankly, tremendous during that time. Really impressed with what the SEC did, getting 5 teams. I believe the ACC did, too, so that's pretty even along that line. Boy, South Carolina didn't waste any time getting rid of Mark Kingston in making that change. It really disappointing loss for LSU. They had North Carolina on the ropes, should have won that game. Kentucky continues to play well. Georgia was a real surprise. And the Gators have just shocked people over. I would not have given you a plug nickel.
How much trouble was he in before this run?
I don't think he was, because obviously they made the championship game last year and lost to LSU. It was 1-1, and they lost in that third game. So they certainly redeemed themselves, as they have really gotten better as of late. And I'm not saying they'll beat Clemson and go to Omaha, but they have exceeded anybody's expectations from where this team was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's impressive. I'm kind of with you. I did not see them making a run, but now here we are in SEC getting 5 teams into the Super Regionals. I think you got to feel pretty good about that if you're the SEC. But Brent, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Always, guys, enjoyed it very much, and we'll look forward to next week.
Thank you, Brent, so much. Always. Thank you so much. Brent Beard with us every week talking college football. Brian, kind of back to our College World Series segment. Yeah. I don't. We got to. Who is Tennessee the team to beat from here forward?
Yeah, it feels like it. I mean,
and the left side looks a little easier than that right side, even after if they potentially got to Omaha.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And, Tennessee has just, I think you put what they did last year with what they are doing this year, and it definitely feels like they have built something over there, and it definitely looks like this is a go-for-it time. Now, if they get out of this and, have to play Florida State, that could be difficult. But, I do think Tennessee's the team to beat, and also I think Texas A&M's right behind them. I think the two teams to beat right now are two SEC teams.
Boy, and that's two places starving for championships.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, if they could get one, I think they would definitely feel really good about it this spring.
It's kind of funny to me. I'm hearing a lot of people in the aftermath of the weekend talking about how nuanced baseball is and the vagaries of baseball. And it's weird. You can hit one on the nose, 410, and the center fielder doesn't have to move an inch and a half to catch it. And then a blooper, bleeder, Texas leaguer, duck snort falls in, behind second base, and the base is empty. Have you not been watching baseball any of your life? Of course it is. I can tell you all about it as a Cardinal fan. Not just the Dinkinger call in 1985. The Cardinals hit $190 for the World Series. Yeah. You don't deserve to win a World Series hitting $190, Brian.
No, not at all. And I think you can look, especially college baseball. I think college baseball and Major League Baseball are almost like two completely different games. I mean, there are a lot of times in Major League Baseball, maybe your shortstop, has an error or something like that. Okay, move on, next play. You can rebound from that. I've seen a lot of times, and it's a little cleaner when you get to regional play. And
a little.
But you have that shortstop, that third baseman have that no error, and that snowball just starts to roll down the hill and gets bigger and bigger. And next thing you know, you might have been leading by 3 or 4 runs, and now you're down by 3 or 4 runs.
And, Brian, speaking of baseball, maybe the most embarrassing moment I have ever had on the airwaves, and I can't suspend myself without pay for the rest of the show, but I'm going to suspend myself. No more Coca-Cola for me for the rest of the show.
Okay.
That's my penalty. But in my credit, after we got out of the Evansville famous baseball player, I said, did one of the Bennesses go there?
You did say that.
Off the air, though, so that doesn't count. The folks didn't hear it. I'm humiliated that I didn't come up with that. I didn't say Andy Bennis at Evansville.
Well, it's a good player.
That's bad.
Yeah, look, I told you. I think college football, college basketball. Where a lot of those guys went to college. I don't penalize you for not knowing where a guy went to college.
But the Bennesses were good Cardinals.
They were really good Cardinals. You're absolutely right. But
I blew it.
I don't know if I can blame you for that.
Scored at home, but I blew it. I know all our guests like Brent Beard up here on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the hometown teams like the Memphis Grizzlies and the Memphis Tigers. That new location, it's been open since December at 4542 Poplar. Bill Jones, his great team, they're here to stay. Some kind of blow in and blow out overnight. Not Sissy's Log Cabin, part of the community, a fabric of the community. And we get back to FedEx Forum, you'll see it with the FedEx Forum seat lounge right there, right off the floor at FedEx Forum for all the Grizzlies games and all the Tigers games since 1970 with all their locations across the Mid-South, the Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry at Sissy's Log Cabin, engagement rings, wedding bands, necklaces, earrings. This is wedding season. Well, before wedding season, you got to have engagement season, and the place to start is at Sissy's Log Cabin. They offer a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts, unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, we need to get to a break. When we come back, we got to keep talking about the NBA Finals as we're getting closer and closer to Game 1 on Thursday. But there's so many NBA stories coming out, whether it be draft and also Shams Charania reporting that the Lakers are zeroing in on their next head coach. We'll talk about all of that next on Sports Time.
WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better? I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
Make your next grill your last with a Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on fuel, eating out, and replacing expensive grills that cannot match the flavor of the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes with temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com.
Right now at Genesis Diamonds, we're always giving relief to our customers with free financing for It's time to be real. At Designer Engagement Ring, or that luxury pre-owned Rolex, spread your payments over 5 whole years without paying a dime in interest. It's a danger anniversary just for us. $45 and that's with zero down. Now through June and only at Genesis Diamonds. Terms extended.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still filling out paperwork on this earlier crash on 240 westbound, just past Poplar. It's been a mess over here for a while. We're hoping it's going to start to move a little bit better on 240 westbound. Eastbound's already busy this time of the afternoon, approaching Poplar as that traffic increases on 385 Billmores Parkway, going outbound back out into Collierville. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry right here in Memphis has specialized in bridal ring purchases since 1984. Go by and see them this bridal season at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We've got plenty to talk about when it comes to the NBA. We got to talk about the NBA Finals, but I want to start off by talking about some other NBA news that's going on right now, most notably with the LA Lakers, as it sounds like, according to Shams, they have zeroed in on their next head coach, and that next head coach that they're zeroing in on is J.J. Redick, the former Coach JJ, the former sharpshooter, the now analyst and podcast
What's the most hated
co-host.
man in college basketball?
100%. Kind of following that saying Christian Laettner art, and But
I think Marty Clark got it started at Duke.
Sure.
I don't know. Leitner was a little before that.
Yeah, I mean Leitner was the big one, there's been a lot that have followed, but certainly J.J. Redick one of them, and so now it looks like he'll be the next head coach of the L.A. Lakers. And one thing I'm not gonna do is sit here and try to determine if I think J.J. Redick's gonna be a good head coach or not, because I have no clue. I don't know.
It's a good place to start, but how has it worked for the last couple of people that thought that was a good place to start a job?
Exactly. I mean, that's such a tough place to start because
All right, here's one.
Okay.
For you and Lee Odwin both.
Okay.
If y'all were out there and you're wanting to get into coaching, would you bite that off as your first head coaching job in the NBA? Would you have accepted the job? Would you have been interested?
I would not have taken the Lakers job. I mean, that seems like a lot of pressure on somebody.
I agree with Brian. It's just a hard job. It's a lot of pressure to win, especially with the talent, with the prestige, and obviously the notoriety of this team. Yeah, it's a hard place to start. I would look elsewhere first.
I take it in a second. It's the Los Angeles Lakers.
I mean, that's
it usually works out well for you.
There's pros and
cons. Okay, it hadn't with Darvin Ham. And for Frank Vogel, that wasn't his first job either.
Sure.
But it worked. He won a title in the bubble.
Yeah, but I mean, and look, here's the difference.
It chews some people up, though.
It does, and that's the big difference between J.J. Redick and me. I don't have the confidence that J.J. Redick has in his basketball expertise.
That most hated man in college basketball.
Yes.
It developed a crocodile thick hide.
Absolutely. So for me, when I'm thinking about coaching, I'm thinking, if I don't go there and
you could strike a match on that thick hide of his.
He's going in thinking, I can coach these guys. I know what the problem is. I can go in and we're going to be good. He's thinking about it completely different than we're thinking about it.
That's a great point, Brian. Going through his mind is, okay, it is task to me to land the C-130 on an aircraft carrier that has been LeBron James's career.
Sure, and I mean, and it seems like
I got to make this work.
Yes, and it seems like him and LeBron have a pretty good relationship. They've got that podcast, which I think I haven't listened to all of the episodes. I've listened to a couple of episodes. I think it is fantastic. I mean, when you say breaking down the game of basketball, they're breaking it down. They're breaking down different sets, different plays that they run in the NBA and different levels. And so he definitely has an X's and O's side to him, and so I'm interested to see. I hope it works out for him. I hope he's a good coach with the Lakers, but it's like you said, it's a tough task. It's a big job, big shoes to fill.
Lee Odwin, I bet you didn't know that Brian is well-known Dookie.
Yo, I love the Duke Blue Devils. I mean, you can call me an undercover Duke fan. I do like Duke.
Cameron crazy.
Sure, yeah. Dress me up and throw me out. I mean, I'll go all out. No,
and all the bobbing around.
That's right, exactly. No, I don't mind Duke at all. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with JJ. I hope he does well, but it's going to be a lot of talk about him once he's finally named. There's going to be a lot of
spotlight.
Talk. There's going to be a lot of criticism. There's going to be, all eyes are going to be on him next year for sure.
Just all the soap opera. That's the front office dynamic with the Lakers, and that's not changing. No. The buses and the rampuses aren't going away.
No, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So and it's their team for sure. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun to keep an eye on. But
I think Steve Ballmer has put a lot of pressure on them because money's no object.
That's right, and I think. Certainly was a lot of pressure already when you're the Lakers, but, you're kind of, the Showtime Lakers, and you're in L.A. and everything, and then the Clippers come along, and they're kind of the joke of a franchise, but now have turned it around, have a really good team.
And building their palace.
Building a beautiful arena from everything, you see online. So, yeah, I definitely do think they feel, a little bit of pressure of we got to remain, again, like Lee Alvin was saying, the prestige of the Los Angeles Lakers isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But
historically, we just talked longer than the Lakers spend thinking about the Clippers.
Absolutely, 100%. And, that's kind of that dynamic. When you talk about a big brother, little brother dynamic, it's certainly big brother
They don't
Lakers.
even count as little brother.
Do they not? Wow.
No.
So not even little brother. How about that? I love that. So, it's going to be interesting to see once J.J. Redick is named the head coach. But
when J.J. Redick was a rookie, help me while I'm telling this story, find out a rookie year for J.J. Redick. When he was a rookie, media seating at FedEx Forum then was different than it is now. We were on the complete other end. Brian, you remember in kind of that semicircle now where, I don't mind saying, where the Chick-fil-A fan zone is now. And we're there. So pretty nice plush club seating, those Enzo seats with the tables and the TV and the club area really nice right above us. And it was a pretty sleepy night. And I don't know what point in the year it was, but it was pretty sleepy night and pretty quiet in the building. And J.J. Redick checks in for the first time. And there was a guy above me that lost his mind. I mean, everything you can think of, and a lot of it I can't repeat.
Wow, yes.
Invective, Dookie, this, that, JJ, just went crazy. And I thought, come on, Ned, you don't even know who he is.
Wow.
I mean, why are you this mad at him?
Yeah, so definitely not a big Duke fan like I am, that person in the crowd.
He got that a lot of places.
Well, yes, he did, and a lot of former Duke players.
But he could stroke that three-pointer.
No, you were absolutely right. He definitely could do that. 2006, 2007, the rookie year for him.
This guy went crazy over it.
Well, and
just going to the scores table and checking in.
Yeah, well,
J.J. Redick was a rookie with the Magic that year, I think.
Draft, by the Magic. Yep, that's right. So and that didn't stop his rookie year. That was something that followed him and a lot of other Duke players.
This will be something, he's not going to get pinned down by this, and he's not going to be, heavily criticized this. But we know that J.J. Redick has mostly said, he hadn't said this quote, but his worldview has been really about any basketball before 2000.
Yeah.
Hadn't counted.
Yeah.
That won't go over in the Laker world.
No, it will not. Again, back to what Lee Alwyn said about the prestige of the Los Angeles Lakers. A lot of that prestige happened before 2000.
Because on every pair of shorts in the NBA is the logo.
That's right.
It's Jerry West.
Yes.
And he's in those rafters in Lakerland.
Yes, he is.
You gonna tell Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar what they didn't count?
Well, it's a good point because you're right. He is very notable of saying those things. And
okay, so you don't have to pay all homage to yesteryear. But that's ridiculous.
That's a little too far. Yeah.
I think Bob. Now this will go over in Lakerland.
Sure.
I think Bob Cousy and Celtics lore is the subject of his most ire.
Yes, it definitely is, and you're right. That will go over very well with Laker fans because they do not like the Celtics or Celtic lore. So no, it's gonna be fascinating. And like I said, I hope it works out. I hope he's a good coach. But we'll have to wait and see because there's just so much unknown.
Did they really scan the globe, or did they lock in on him pretty early?
Felt like they locked in on him pretty early. It felt like it was him and a couple other guys, but really seemed like he was the guy. And if you take LeBron and Rich Paul for their word, LeBron had no input on it.
We believe that?
Not really. So we'll see what
I
happens.
believe in Kyrie's flat earth.
Well,
I believe that.
Wow, that's strong, Brett.
And we know that's a whopper.
And we definitely know you're not going to be buying into that anytime soon.
No, another reason why, if I'm J.J. Redick, I take it. If it's royal, colossal bust, if it's 20-62 next year, and LeBron and Clutch and everybody's ready to kill you, you go right back to analyst chair.
Yeah, I mean he's really good at what
not
he's
for that
doing
kind
right
of dough,
now.
but it's not bad.
Right, and you definitely know somebody will pick you up, whether it's ESPN or going back to NBC, NBA is maybe NBC is looking for somebody, whatever it is, somebody will pay him money to talk basketball.
I'm not talking about his overseer, certainly not on the bench, probably not real public.
Right.
You think he has Mike Krzyzewski around very much?
Oh man, I mean,
or consultation?
I certainly think you're
Why
making
not?
phone calls to
Why
them,
wouldn't
and
you?
if you got a question, you got a
One of
perfect
the
person in your back pocket.
Great
to ask.
resources ever,
Certainly.
and Mike Krzyzewski showed
Sure.
an adaptability to be able to handle massive egos and great players with those national
That's
teams.
right. Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't
Really saved the U.S. men's basketball
Certainly.
Olympic movement.
Certainly.
A lot of other people had work in it, but
Yeah.
Mike Krzyzewski did great work.
No, I wouldn't blame him at all if he, got on the phone and said, "Hey, Coach K, let's talk about some egos. Let's talk about NBA and coaching
Why
NBA."
wouldn't you?
I think it's speaks for
Same
itself.
for Quinn Snyder. If he can still get Mike
Well,
Krzyzewski to
absolutely.
take his call.
Absolutely. I'm curious, Brett, before we get to a break, I mentioned it in my not top story today. Kristaps Porzingis sounds like he's going to give it a go, whether he's 100% or 70%, whatever he is. He's going to try to go for the NBA Finals. How much does that help this Boston team? How effective is he out there if he's not 100%?
I think it helps. I think it's another longer Chase Luka around body.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
I don't know how
think
much
you can
belly
use the
button to belly button
Probably
you
not.
can give, but maybe if he gets around you, you can block or deflect
Sure.
something.
Well,
you can alter.
Yeah, and
you can help.
Definitely, and certainly with those, I mean, you've seen, and I know
It's going to take all hands.
It definitely is, and I know last week when we were talking to Keith, and he was kind of talking about the thing about Luka running the offense for Dallas right now is, he starts driving into the lane and he stops to put something up. You don't know if he's throwing up a floater or if he's throwing a lob to one of those, high flying forwards they have to, Gafford or
and that's
Jones
all they do is
or
lobs and
Lively.
Lively.
I mean, they've got so many guys that can do it, and so having Kristaps out there where he can chase one of those guys around and deflect passes or deflect
Size
shots,
matters.
It definitely does. So I think having him out there definitely helps this Celtics team. Certainly doesn't hurt, and so I'll be honest. You mentioned it earlier as well. I can't wait for this series to start. I couldn't tell you right now.
I like the anticipation we've built to.
I like the anticipation, and honestly, for me at least, I keep going back and forth. I don't know. I know who I'm rooting for. I do not know who I'll be picking when we make picks on Thursday. It could be either way for me, honestly.
I'm not for Dallas, but I'm not that stridently opposed.
Sure.
I know I took a shot at Mark Cuban last week,
How
but I
did
don't
you
know.
not? I mean,
I don't know. I think I'm for Boston.
Sure. I'm for Dallas.
Joe Mazzulla, youngest coach in NBA Finals since Bill Russell as player coach.
Whoa. Wow, that is a good stat. Wow, that's something. So, no, it's going to be good storylines on the court.
Maybe the last time Joe Mazzulla gets compared to Bill Russell.
It might be. It definitely might be. But there's definitely plenty of storylines for the NBA. And we're only a couple days from that series starting where we can talk about the actual basketball that's going on in those finals on the court. But
big pick for us, though, because you're up one.
Holy cow.
If we disagree and we have the potential for a tie, I guess we'd settle it with a last game total points or something.
I don't know how we'd settle. We'd have to
How do
find
we
something
settle
to
it?
Good Lord.
Got to settle because we got to have a winner.
We sure do.
We're not going to have a tie.
Always got to have a winner. No ties. No ties and no hooks. That's the
and
always hooks.
And no pluses and minuses.
Exactly.
No
That's
grades.
right. Oh yeah, no plus or minuses on the grade book. Gotta have it one way or the other. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's silly season in the life of your roof. I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. The weather can be unpredictable, and I'm ready to get more life out of your roof with our award-winning Owens Corning repair team. We're the repair guys the other repair guys call when they can't find the problem. Leaks become black mold when ignored. That's why when you call me, I start my inspection in the attic. Is it time for a beautiful new roof? 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from
price and get you an estimate right over the phone. The best warranty in the business, including a warranty against ice dams. The only roofer in Memphis to offer a warranty against water intrusion due to snow buildup. Ask about military and first responder discounts. 901-867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Witten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, Brett, I'm really excited for my big number today. Usually I bring out, stats and stuff like that. I always think I bring a good big number to the table. Today, my big number is 50, but it's not a stat. It is a today in history. How about that? Switching it up a little bit. 50 years ago today, it is the 50th year anniversary of the infamous 10-cent beer night at Municipal Stadium.
It got nuts.
Between Cleveland and Texas. Incredible.
And that was just a week or so after what happened with Lenny Randall.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So right there next to each other, a bunch of people doing stories on this today with it being the 50th anniversary. So some nuggets I brought to the table with it being the 50th anniversary. The attendance that night was 25,134 people. Beer sold that night, 65,000. So a lot of beers being sold and being drank. Fans got onto the field in the middle innings, and then in the ninth inning,
How did they think it was going to end?
So I guess just during the game, they're just out there. Guys were, some guys were, running throughout the field. But then in the ninth inning, the Indians, who had been trailing most of the game, they come back and have a chance to win the game, and they start harassing fans. Storm the field and start harassing players, Texas players in the field, and it becomes like an all-out riot.
Those two bad teams too, Cleveland, Texas.
Yes, two bad teams, and so both Cleveland and Ranger players went out to try to defend the center fielder from all the fans, and just became a full-on riot at that point. Some quotes that I thought were great from the story I read about earlier today. While Texas manager Billy Martin said the fans showed the worst sportsmanship in the history of baseball,
Boy, and Billy knew bad sportsmanship.
Well, yes, he did. Cleveland manager Ken Esperante said, quote, "I've never seen anything like that in all my life, and I have played baseball all over the world and never saw anything worse than that." An umpire said, quote, "They were uncontrolled beasts. I've never seen anything like it except in a zoo."
Wow.
A security guard said that, quote, "Kids that couldn't be more than 14 years old were drinking beer that night." And this was a quote from the story I read. In the 7th, fans tossed a string of firecrackers near the Rangers' bullpen, forcing the relievers to scamper across the field to the visitors' dugout. A wild night, to say the least.
Yeah, it was. And I promise you, that was only a week or so after the –
Holy cow.
So a lot of friction with those teams.
Wow.
And you did not have to ask Billy Martin twice to put up the Dukes and fight. He loved to fight.
Oh, incredible.
He loved to drink.
Well,
my big number is 1,562. I mentioned earlier how many points for Kyrie Irving in NBA Finals and how much he trailed the great Jerry West by. LeBron James, 1,562 points. He trails Jerry West by 117 points to be the all-time Finals leading scorer.
Wow.
A hard one. You ready?
Oh, jeez. Okay.
How many more finals for LeBron James?
How many finals? Just appearances or
just to get
rings?
to the finals and play in it to try to catch Jerry West, 117.
I say
he's got 1,562.
Oh man.
Trying to get to Jerry West's big number of 1,679.
I say he's got one more finals go in him.
Okay, if that goes 7 and he averages 20. That's getting close.
That's getting close.
But that would do it.
We're also getting close to the end of his career.
Sweep or swept, though he wouldn't break.
No,
I don't think he's got more than one in him.
I don't think
I don't know if he's got one.
I was about to say one might be just a little wishful thinking on my part.
Under Coach Reddick, maybe.
How about that? Coach JJ and Bron.
I would sign up right now in blood. Only like doing a blood test out of the tip of your finger, though, not going deep, drawing blood. I'd sign up right now for the Grizzlies and the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals next year deny LeBron James one more Finals.
Well, and then
wouldn't that be fun?
Well, Brett, you got to be careful what you wish for. We might at that point we might be in here trading blows with Lee Aldwin about Grizzlies and Lakers. So
Lee Aldwin, you're a big Lakers guy?
Oh, he's a big Lakers.
Very much so since 2007 stats.
How about that?
Okay, allowed. Allowed?
No, it's allowed. It's
our friend
allowed.
Darian Newsom was a big Lakers fan.
That's
here
right.
with
That's
us.
right. So,
we still love Darian.
We absolutely love Darian. So yeah, you can be a Lakers fan, but if they do meet,
we're just going to call you fakers for 2 weeks when you're playing here against the Grizzlies.
That's right.
You should have heard some of the vitriol I had to deal with last year when they played in the first round.
Well, that happens.
You should have heard some we served up here.
And your
remember when I wanted the Lakers, Brian?
You wanted them for multiple weeks, and you got them,
yeah.
and it did not end well. But a good big number for you. Very interesting. But let's go ahead and wrap up this hour and get to a break. When we come back to start our third and final hour, we're switching gears, talking the NFL with Bo Marchant.
It's time to have a good time at Mugshot's Grill and Bar in Olive Branch and Carter. Come by for half-price happy hour 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with domestic drafts and $3 snacks. Then try one of Mugshot's 19 specialty burgers, including the Mugshot Burger. Finish it in 12 minutes and it's free. Plus, you get a free shirt. Mugshots in Olive Branch, 6400 Goodman Road, and Mugshots in Carterville, 656 West Poplar. So cheers to great food, good drinks, and fun company at Mugshots Grill and Bar, where you're always having a good time.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia, to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's just that time for it to build through the Midtown area, and it is 240 southbound from South Parkway down to Norris. It's gotten even heavier in the last few minutes on 240 eastbound here at Poplar, starting to crank up with more volume on 40 East over here at Sycamore View Road, all the way out past Germantown Parkway into Fayette County. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry here in Memphis has specialized in bridal ring purchases in 1984. Go by and see them this bridal season at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
National Football League talk every Tuesday with Bo Marchant, covering the NFL Draft at collegetopro.com and the NFL Draft Bible, covering the Steelers for Sports Illustrated, living and running in Eastern Ohio, and on Twitter X at Bo Marchant. Here's Bo with Bryant and Brett.
Bo Marchant joins us now on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line like he does every single Tuesday to talk the National Football League. Bo, thanks so much for joining us, and we got to start with the big news from yesterday. Justin Jefferson signs a 4-year, $140 million extension, which is the most lucrative non-quarterback deal in NFL history. We talked to you last week about it. You were extremely confident that it was going to get done. Now it has gotten done. What did you make of those numbers, those huge numbers that Justin Jefferson's getting to stay with the Vikings?
I think it shows the importance of the receiver position, as we've come to learn. It's a passing vertical offense way of things in the National Football League, and that money to Justin Jefferson, one, deserving of the impact he has on the team and the way that he carries himself. But I think it's indicative of what we're seeing as we transition from a pass-happy league where the quarterbacks are getting, double of what Justin Jefferson received, on a per-year basis. And now you start looking at the other receivers, and I'm sure CeeDee Lamb and company, all the guys out there that are eyeing new contracts, had to go to bed last night pleasantly. They might not surpass him, but they know that, that type of contract has upped the ante for all receivers. And it seemed like yesterday Tyreek Hill and these guys were breaking the piggy bank in terms of cash, but, now they look like they're kind of lagging behind by lopsided numbers just because of the increase. So kudos to Justin Jefferson, and he'll be a Viking for a few years now as they locked him up for 4 years.
And last week, Jalen Waddle, his $84 million seems paltry now, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's the fun part about the way these salaries can just
He'll
jump.
probably hold out.
Well, I hope not. But it's a fun time to see these guys get these crazy contracts. When I saw
they got the money, they should get it.
Oh yeah,
they do, and it's just the way the money is, and each generation of players can argue, what the previous generation got, and it really is astonishing type dollars now. I mean, before, you lived comfortably, you played in the 80s, you really had a really, really, really nice living, but now the money that these guys get, it's generational wealth for your family. It's something that puts you, back in the day, you'd think, oh, this the Rockefellers? No, these are the Jeffersons. He plays for the Vikings. It's just the way the money is now in this league. So it's well-deserving, and you just want him. The thing that scares me, and this is for any position of any player, I hope he stays healthy. I hope the Vikings and Jefferson, this contract, it lives up to it, kind of like a Patrick Mahomes type deal. So, Patrick Mahomes has lived up to the contract, and when these guys do live up to the money, it's good for everybody. It's good for the player. It's good for the organization. It means they're doing things the right way and things are getting done. Sometimes you see contracts that, maybe don't go the right way, and you see a guy that's, getting paid. It's really not there, and it kind of, handcuffs the franchise, if you will, and kind of go in another direction. So as a fan who just wants to watch good football, I just hope it works out.
Bo, you're right. The money now is just astonishing. It's just hard to imagine that kind of money. But it was that way. I know people won't think of it, but it was to hear what this rookie out of Louisiana Tech named Terry Bradshaw was signing for with the Steelers. It was mind-blowing then.
It was. I mean, those guys got it. And I could go, and I'm kind of thinking off the top of my head, but I just say, and I'm granted, I know some of them, like Topps football cards back in the days with the Bart Stars or just say a Jim Otto or some great names. Mm-hmm. They're like, Bart Starr. Bart Starr is a Pro Bowl quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, and he also sells insurance during the off season. Yeah. Or he's a car salesman. Yeah. Jamar Chase is not a car salesman. He might sell cars for you on TV, but he's not actually in the dealership trying to get you to upgrade to the XL model compared to this. So, it is great money, but it was, but now the money is this. Like I said, it's a generational wealth, and we've seen it. And that's just the way society is, and that's the way sports is. That's why they get the money that they do for the Super Bowls, and that all kind of goes back to the owners having deep pockets. The salary cap keeps rising, and it's just a fall down effect, if you will, of for players receiving money under that NFL umbrella. So the fun part is this is a historic contract in terms of what he received. But as we've seen with even Jalen Waddle, with Tyreek Hill, all the other guys that have come previously, next year, 2 years, maybe even with Chase or CeeDee Lamb, we're going to see those contracts, they're going to look shrunk. So it's always nice to be the first one to hit the big home run, but they quickly will realize that what you signed for will be chump change in a season or two as the other guys, start to get even bigger money and higher contract deals, more guaranteed cash.
Maybe one of the more underappreciated stories out there in sports right now, really for everything, is labor peace. And as a consumer, as a sports fan, aren't we glad we have it instead of talking a lockout or a player strike? There's just no need. And you mentioned it with the salary cap, Bo. They have to spend that money.
Yeah, I mean that's one other good thing about the NFL. You have to spend it. There's triggers that if you don't, you're going to end up paying anyways.
The old man Rooney would have stuck a little down in extra pocket.
Right. Yeah, it's a fun way to look back. I'm reading a book about the NFL and the history of it, and it was, just some of the things that have gone on to be where we're at today and how everything is, so transparent, up and open. Again, the money's there. These guys are receiving it. I have no ill will towards any of them. It's a tough profession, and it's just being at OTAs and talking to Van Jefferson today. I mean, he's the second round pick in 2020. Denzel Mims, the second round pick in 2020. These are talented guys, and they've really never been able to have it all come together. And they're looking for a rebirth, but it doesn't mean how talented you are in college. You can have all the intangibles, but when you get to this level, I mean, you really have to have everything go in your favor. You really have to be special. And I might be getting off topic, but I'm just trying to say that the money is there, but it's not there for everybody. No matter how good you are, or how where you come from collegiately. Once you get here is where it happens, and if you're good enough, that second contract that we've come to see with Justin Jefferson, if you can get to that second contract when you're good enough, you're going to really, really benefit and feel the love from the team, if you will.
Bo, I went to a couple of Ole Miss football practices when Van Jefferson was at Ole Miss that I left thinking he might be better than A.J. Brown or DK Metcalf. He just hadn't been consistent.
Yeah, well, listen, Brett, I can tell you 1,000 guys that I thought Tyler Boyd was going to be probably the equivalent of what you just said.
Oh, James Washington, we both missed on.
You both missed on James Washington. I have a laundry list of receivers I could go down, but it's one of those things nobody knows. And I always like to joke around. We're just on the outside looking in. These teams pay millions of dollars, and they're talking to these guys and their coaches and their agents and their moms, their dads, people they grew up with, and they still get it wrong. So, it's not an exact science, as we know, when it comes to the draft. But Van Jefferson, Denzel Moore, I think, including Chase Claypool, because I think they have Marquez Callaway, they have Dez Fitzpatrick, both 2020 guys. So they have 4 2020 receivers on their roster, and if you include Chase Claypool, who they traded, that'll be 5 guys from the 2020 draft class on the team. So it just kind of shows you that. In the moment, if you would have said, wow, all these guys are on the Steelers, in 2020, you'd have think they have the best receiving unit in the entire league. But as we've come to learn, they're a receiving unit that's kind of in question right now.
Definitely. Well, you mentioned CeeDee Lamb earlier. Here comes the Cowboy fan asking a question. I saw the headline on SportsCenter just a couple minutes ago was CeeDee Lamb doesn't show up for first day of mandatory OTA. I mean, shocker, right? What does this mean, Justin Jefferson getting this money? What does it mean for CeeDee Lamb and for the Dallas Cowboys as part of his holdout?
So, this is where it gets tricky, and I apologize for not knowing where the Vikings are. cap-wise and how they can maneuver the money.
Right.
But we know Dallas, and as Jerry Jones said, he's all in. And what was he all in on? He was all in on getting Dak re-signed, Parsons re-signed, and the main you guys mentioned in CD Lamb. So, listen, he led the league last year in receptions, 135 catches, fantastic season. I mean, he became one of the elite guys, 3,000-yard seasons in a row. He's going to get paid. It's just a matter of Jerry Jones and the Cowboys and Lamb, his group, finding that happy place where they can kind of come to a place where he gets what he's deserved. So this is a little part of sometimes of those tricky situations where we know he's deserving of it, but how much can we give him where we keep everything else intact? And that's the tricky part. It really is. If you just say Dak wants his, Parsons wants his, CD wants his, somebody may go without, and that's going to rub them the wrong way. They might want out. But even mini camps, if you don't see him at all, pay it no mind. When it gets to training camp, when things get really serious, that's when it matters. And somebody brought up a great point. I was on a podcast with Jim Wexell, a longtime beat writer of the Steelers, many books. And, the big story today was Cam Hayward showing up. And when he brought it up was, he's had one practice, but when you kind of look at it, yeah, T.J. Watt was there, but I think maybe T.J. was there for one practice. Maybe Pickens was there. So it's not so much, who's there, especially at this point. It's, and I know they're still in the OTA process. They'll start minicamp next week. So even for CeeDee Lamb and these guys, it's training camp. When we get to that point and they're not in camp and then it happens, if he's still not there, if nothing's resolved, then you start thinking preseason game. And then we start getting to that 0 hour when, when's the season going to kick off? Is he going to be there? So we've come to learn that these guys usually come. It might be with no training, no minicamp sessions, no OTA appearances, but nonetheless, when the 0 hour arrives, they show up. Le'Veon Bell's been the only guy that said, "Okay, you know what? I'm really not coming. I'm going to sit out." So all these guys, they buckle. They want paid, and So I guess a long way of saying it, Bryant. I don't know when CeeDee Lamb is going to be there, but he'll play for the Cowboys this year. I mean, he might be happy or not, but nonetheless, if you don't see him in minicamp, don't be surprised. You don't see him in training camp, I still wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Preseason game 1, 2, or 3, still not surprised, but I would be surprised week 1 he isn't there.
Just in the broad, we're not going to hold you to this on preseason predictions. We'll do plenty of that as the season approaches, and we'll start doing our quarterback rankings on Tuesday, June 25th, so 3 weeks from today. Is that right? Yeah. Wow. 3 weeks from today, we'll start with the AFC West. I think there's consensus on the number one quarterback in the AFC West. But just kind of big picture for the Cowboys. If they win 12 games again this year, what does that get them, Bo?
Well, we know for 12 games, for that team, 12 games, 12-5, it's a matter of if they can go 3-0 or 2-0 in the playoffs. They have to at least reach the NFC Championship, and if they reach that point, they have to play a nail biter where the refs maybe make the wrong call and some bad things happen. Misfortunate move. But it's listen. 12-5 is great. They've done it. And McCarthy's had more success than a lot of these coaches in previous. You got to go back to Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer type years, in just terms of the record of success. But it's been such a drought. Jerry Jones, everybody involved is just clamoring for some playoff, life. They've just been so bad in the playoffs. No pulse. They were embarrassed last year by the Packers, just kind of smacked right in the mouth from the get-go, and they weren't able to ever get off the mat. And that's
Poor
the way
Bryant
it is.
Was so down, Bo. He was so down.
Yeah.
But we were here for him.
Yeah, we were here. And listen, and he's still. Hey, the thing about him, God bless him, is he's higher than ever on them being the team. And
got the parade ride.
That's why we're going to be here again next year for him.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite part, I think, who was it when we were doing our Hall of Fame draft guys? I think he picked a Cowboy guy, so of the draft class. I think if I'm wrong, I thought you did, Brian.
I think I did.
Did you pick a Hall of Fame Cowboy?
Think of this year in football, what it could be for you. Tigers in the college football playoff in the field of 12, and a Cowboy Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, Brett, you're speaking my language.
This could be the Nirvana year for you. Bo Marchand, since exclude Barry Switzer, because we know that was maybe one of sports' biggest outliers ever, and I mean like standing out aloof, alone, apart from everybody, not lying, not telling a untruth. Exclude the Switzer years as Cowboys coach. You could make a case Mike McCarthy's the best since Jimmy Johnson.
Listen, you're talking about 3 12-5 seasons. 3 playoff appearances.
That's
now,
better than Parcells.
Yeah, it is. His record and his success just doesn't translate to postseason success. But 3 straight playoff appearances, and I don't know. I think you have to actually go back to the 90s. Under maybe Champ Gailey or something where the team had that much 3 straight appearances in the playoffs. But again, this is the Cowboys. It's not about making the playoffs, kind of like the Steelers fan base. It's not about just being 12-5. It's about making noise, when it matters. And that's where they've failed. And everybody in the building will address that. But McCarthy has 2 first place finishes and a second place finish in the last 3 seasons in a tough division. But he plays for an owner who's desperate for another Super Bowl. He plays for a franchise where the fan base is desperate to get back to what they had under Jimmy Johnson, and that's eluded them since that time. We know Switzer had his Super Bowl, but we all know that was the basis of what Jimmy Johnson was able to do and how he kind of built that team up. But nonetheless, I hope McCarthy has playoff success. I just think the way that he was able to, he made Dak Prescott even better. Dak had one of his finest seasons last year. There was so much criticism, Kellen Moore, I should say, he was the guru and he was the architect of all this, and then he leaves and, it's the Cowboys, what are they going to do? They were right where they needed to be. And McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning coach. Let's not underestimate that. He just happens to be in a circumstance of a owner who's very flamboyant, very talkative, very outspoken, will not, hush away or shy away from, letting these guys know that, you were on the hot seat. And that's the job. We did it with Jason Garrett. If you're the Cowboys coach, you're not winning Super Bowls or winning successful leads in the playoffs. And this is why they've had so many coaches, because they haven't been able to do that. Parcells, Wade Phillips, Garrett. I'm probably missing a few throughout.
Dave Campo.
Dave Campo, great call. None of these guys have been able to do what Switzer did the last time they won one, and that's get to a Super Bowl, at least make it. And I don't even know if they've been able to an NFC championship. It seems like just a lot of,
they haven't since that last Super Bowl.
Yeah, so that just shows you, this is not a McCarthy thing. This is just, it's the NFL, and we take it for granted that Super Bowls just come, and no matter how much you love it and your team tries, it's hard to do. Look at Cleveland, Detroit. Never even been there yet. We know that back in the day they won the titles, but since the merger, since Super Bowls have become what they are, it's a hard place to get to, and even getting to it, it's even harder to win it.
The Dolphins haven't won it in over 50 years.
And we consider them, they're that old school, old boys club, if you will.
The gold standard franchise.
Yeah, Shola, because they're living off Don Shola. They're living off.
They are.
What he did, and we look at it, and the Chiefs were kind of in that bubble. You looked at Hank Stram and the early.
They were for a long time.
Yeah, and now they were able to kind of right the ship, and now they have a dynasty that we're currently in. But if you can have success, and with the Cowboys, granted, now we know the Cowboys have had success under Landry, and then the G. Johnson. Nonetheless, it's hard to do. And the Steelers, prior to Chuck Noll, a franchise that was one of the worst in the league. Noll gets there. They have a great run in the 70s, and it was for 2 decades, a decade and a half. Kind of non-existent, until Power, and the team kind of got back to what they needed to do, and they were able to, win a couple. Tomlin and, but they're still a franchise in search of that elite status. They're just a good franchise, kind of piggybacking off of, what they've done. And, all franchises are like that. If you've had success, look at the Yankees, look at Notre Dame. Who knows what Alabama will be without Nick Saban? There'll be another, Power 5 program, probably clamoring for the days of Saban. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, something that has been weird as a Cowboy fan, at least for me, that probably shouldn't be weird, but seeing Ezekiel Elliott in a Cowboys practice jersey at minicamp today, that was that got me. I was kind of like, "What's he doing there?" But I was like, "Oh no, that's right, he's back." So,
what number?
I actually didn't see the number. That's a good question. I don't know what number. 15. So he's rocking 15. So. Interesting, but
that was his college number.
It sure was, yeah.
He was 21 first go around with Dallas,
that's
right?
Right, yeah. So looks like he'll be 15, rocking 15 with the Cowboys. So that was a little interesting to see this morning. But you can't forget about old Zeke back there. But Bo, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Stay safe, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thanks, Bo.
Thank you, Bo.
Bo Marchant joining us to talk the NFL, and no matter where we're at in the offseason, always plenty to talk about in the NFL.
And the incoming fire, the criticism, the just the target that the Cowboys are, as compared to the team that Bo covers daily, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh yeah.
The difference, it's easy.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones leads with his chin.
He does.
You don't see any of the Rooneys.
No, you're absolutely right. Jerry Jones.
They're allergic to media.
He leads with his chest. He's not scared to say anything, and sometimes that's a good thing, and a lot of times that's a bad thing. But
it sells a lot of sweets. It sells a lot of signage. Mm-hmm. Undeniably, one of the great business people ever.
Sure.
But post Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. Except for the Barry Switzer outlier year, there's not anything.
Well, we've been talking a lot over the last couple of weeks about different boosters and things like that make things happen in the college world that are very loud and proud, and maybe the championship trophies haven't come. That's kind of what Jerry Jones has been.
He's his own booster, though.
Exactly. He's his own booster, and he kind of runs his mouth a lot. And, especially in recent years, those championships have not come like they used to come.
Last Super Bowl after the 95 season, and that's the last NFC Championship game.
But
know all this, Brian.
Oh, of course. But, hey, it's a new day, and, this year's the year for the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, the proverbial autograph stand at the mall in Dallas. Are you ready?
Here we go. All right, I'm ready for it.
On one end, Mike McCarthy.
Okay.
On the other end, Jason Kidd. We do it today before Dallas leaves for Boston. Who's got the longest line?
It's
not even close.
It's not even close, but it should be closer. But it's McCarthy. But man,
and poor Bruce Bochy is saying, "What about me?
What about? I mean, look at the ring I just got. I mean,
I delivered that piece of metal of Bobby Manfred's.
That's right. But no time for him. No stand for him in the mall. No, unfortunately, it's the big two.
And the mall's a long way from Arlington.
Sure, yes.
What's a long way from the Cowboy Stadium right by?
Long drive. Yeah, I guess so, but
where's the mall? Do we still have malls?
That's great. I'm gonna call my buddy that lives in Dallas after this and go, hey, where's the mall down there? Where's y'all's mall at?
Turtle Creek. Everything's on Turtle Creek.
Interesting. Well, you better get familiar with it when you go to SEC Media
Man, I'm gonna be at one place.
You're not venturing out. I don't blame you. Traffic in Dallas. I mean, it's different ball game. So, get somewhere and stay there for the week.
It's Das Boot for me all week.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't want it any other way.
Exactly. That's the way you want it. But love talking NFL with Bo, as always, on a Tuesday afternoon. Let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending. Plenty to get to in what's trending today. So let's do that. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's silly season in the life of your roof. I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. The weather can be unpredictable, and I'm ready to get more life out of your roof with our award-winning Owens Corning repair team. We're the repair guys the other repair guys call when they can't find the problem. Leaks become black mold when ignored. That's why when you call me, I start my inspection in the attic. Is it time for a beautiful new roof? 867-0303. those who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facility safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kids secret in town. Open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garden created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Pick them up on 6 pool tables. Just here in town, grab your cool stick and get you some more bar bar. Chicken tenders, daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 p.m. Long Meadows, 1625 Getaway Sports Bar, 2632 Winchester.
Buster's Butcher at 199 South Highland Street in Memphis. We're a full-service butcher shop offering a curated selection of quality meats, cheeses, prepared foods, and more. At Buster's, our skilled butchers are also experienced chefs. They'll be delighted to guide you on selecting, preparing, and cooking our fine selection of products. We're like nothing else you can find in Memphis. Learn more at bustersbutcher.com and come see why every cut counts at Buster's Butcher.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway and Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Highland Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We've got about 30 minutes left in today's show. A couple different things I want to talk about during What's Trending. But the first thing I want to talk about, we've talked a lot about the Tiger basketball team and what they're going to do now as David Jones has decided to stay in the draft. They've got a couple of scholarships to play with, but it feels like you add one, maybe two more guys and really round out this roster. But one of the guys that has been kind of floated out there that Memphis had interest in was Trevon Brazile. And now, within the last couple of hours, the news has come out that Trevon Brazile will stay at Arkansas. There was a lot of news out there.
That's a surprise.
That is a surprise because it looked like, I know St. John's was involved very heavily. I know there was another school, I can't remember now. There were two schools that were really involved with him. Memphis, to me, always felt like kind of a long shot to get him because it really felt like St. John's and one other school that I'm really blanking on right now were really deep in on him. But he decides to go back to Arkansas. Definitely a surprise. So now John Calipari, it looks like for the most part, he says he wants to have kind of this 9-man team, scholarship team, and, the rest be quote-unquote walk-on players. But, it looks like this is going to be the roster for John Calipari for the most part, and it's going to be an interesting group of guys.
It's worth trying.
Sure.
He is a accomplished coach.
Mm-hmm.
I would just warn him. You have an injury or two. You have a miss or two.
Yeah.
You do all that, you're down to 5 people.
Yeah, no, it could.
An injury or two's 2. A miss or two's 2 more. That's 4. You got 9. That leaves 5. That's simple math.
Well, you're right. It could get very thin very
He knows
quickly.
this. I know.
Sure, and but we've seen it here. Over the years of you get a couple guys that go down, and that roster that's 13 guys deep feels pretty thin very quickly. And so, I like on paper this team that he has put together, but we'll see what it looks like once they get on the court.
Yeah, but I know where he's coming from. He's talking about not wanting to develop players for other people, but you can have that devastating injury. Ask Kermit Davis about Deshaun Ruffin getting hurt.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
and how that changed everything.
Completely turned the year, and
turned his career. How it ended.
That's a great point.
But both Ruffin and Kermit.
Sure, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So it'll be interesting, but definitely a big get for him. And now you look at this roster for him, and you've got Trevon Brazile, who was a really good player for Arkansas these past couple of years. We
love the roster.
Sure, you've got John L. Davis, who's a good player that we saw.
It's never the roster anybody questions around John Calipari.
Exactly, it's the execution.
It's make or stop with 15 seconds to play. From the 25th of February on.
No, you're absolutely right, and so we'll see what happens with this team and if things maybe change with him at Arkansas. But I do think especially now a lot of time to think about next year's teams for Arkansas fans with baseball being knocked out. They'll have a lot of time to think about what it could be for football and basketball next year.
And having Kenny Payne. Kenny Payne was not just a recruiter. I don't know if he's formidable floor coach, but he is practice coach.
Certainly. No, Kenny Payne is a massive get.
John Calipari can leave and go do a speaking engagement, can go recruiting, can do whatever with a booster and leave practice to Kenny Payne and leave it in good shape.
100%.
In the last few years at Kentucky, he hadn't had that. And I said that through the last few years at Kentucky, that bench at Kentucky, I wouldn't have doing anything for me.
Yeah, no,
that he had. I mean,
Kenny
Bruiser
Payne,
and Antigua. Come on now.
Names everybody knows because of how long they've stuck with Cal. But no, getting Kenny Payne back, with this roster, I think is huge. And the shoes of being the head coach and the head guy was a little too much for Kenny Payne. I think we can all acknowledge that and say that his time at Louisville was not good at all. It was not.
And
great.
I would have bet he would have been successful.
Sure.
I would have lost
100%.
wildly.
100%. And I was one of the people that said after year one.
He wasn't close.
No. But even after year one, I was saying, let's give him a full off season. Let's see what he can do recruiting.
That Bellarmine game stuck with us, didn't it?
It sure did. And it stuck with him. And, year two was not any better at all. But, having him in there, I think you even saw at Louisville, even with them struggling, I think he did a fine job recruiting. It wasn't great, obviously, with what they had done the year before, but he was in the mix for some big names. If you can have him recruiting, also with those guys practice, being on that bench, he's massive for Cal. Obviously, they have that connection with him being on those previous staffs. I loved that pick. I thought that might have been the pickup of the offseason for anybody.
Brian, some are saying around college basketball that we could be seeing the end, especially of two of those, of maybe those preseason exhibition games that don't count, like the Tigers often would play Lemoyne Owen in CBU, or something like that. That we could be seeing the end of at least one, if not both of them, because nobody wants to pay out anything now. Except for what is really necessary.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
everywhere.
Right. Yeah, and that's interesting. And I think, one thing that I think is going to be interesting is I could 100% see, and still would have to pay stuff, but I could see them moving in this direction as well. I could see them moving into the direction of eliminate the exhibition games and increase the kind of going other places and playing in those foreign exhibition games.
So take that, if you're in a multi-team event, take 30, and everybody does it, tries to get 31 in, take it to 32?
Well, no. I'm saying like the Tigers going down to the Dominican Republic last year before the season starts, kind of those summer stops that you're seeing teams only doing every, so often years is what they're allowed. I could see them saying, let's get rid of the two exhibition games and say that teams can
I
go
see.
way
And for
more
team
often
building.
doing this for team building, and we're
Great
seeing
idea.
it as a
Is that your
tactic
idea? Have you read that anywhere?
I have not read it anywhere.
That's a great
and
idea.
it might be
I
somewhere.
like that.
I have no idea, but that's just off the dome. Because
Take it as yours.
I'm gonna claim it. But you're seeing a lot of teams using those stops for NIL. I know there was a big story in the Athletic a couple years ago about Kentucky going down to one of the islands. I don't remember exactly where they went, but it was when they had Oscar Tshiebwe, and he couldn't.
They
make
ran the
NIL.
games on SEC Network that year.
They did, and you're seeing that. I think another year they went to Canada and they ran those games on CBS Sports Network. I think Purdue last year, they with Zach Edey, he's Canadian. They went up to like Toronto and played an exhibition game in Toronto in the summer that he could get NIL money and stuff like that. So I could see them moving in that direction. I think a lot of coaches would be on board with that more than playing those two exhibition, because at the end of the day, those two exhibition games don't mean much, and I don't think a lot of people are getting much out of them. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to a point where they do away with those.
Well, there was a famous game here in Memphis that did not count,
Brett, that might be
but
another
it really
reason.
mattered.
That might be another reason why some coaches want to get rid of those exhibition games.
That was the end of Josh.
It 100% was. I mean, once that buzzer hit 0 and the Tigers lost,
Oh, my.
He could do nothing to
My
save his job
neighbor
at that
wanted
point.
to apologize
Yeah,
to him
it was really bad
because he knew what it was going to set
That's
off.
almost at the exact opposite end of why some coaches might want to get rid of those exhibition games.
So Tiger basketball, I wonder if there's anywhere. I wonder if Jason Munns has done this or anybody nationally at scheduling places, D1 docket.
Sure.
Wonder if there's a spreadsheet of filled-in dates, because a lot of dates are. I mean, we knew Maui a year ago,
of course,
but we know a lot of those Saturday and even a Sunday game against Vegas that's filled in. We're just down to kind of the bye games, and I'm hearing that's not going to be the budget for some for those kind of games. That people are going to get a little less pricey on some of those, but we're really just down to a few non-conference dates that we don't know.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and it's really starting to come together. I haven't seen, I haven't kind of been looking for it, but I have not seen.
Munns has got to love me giving him an assignment.
Sure,
don't
of
you?
course, get to it, Jason.
Nothing else to do in the summer
that's right.
but make Brett a spreadsheet to make it easier on him.
That's right. No, I'm sure you can find it somewhere, and it's a good idea if it isn't anywhere, because you're right. I mean, we're getting dates all over the place for these games, and so you're really now able to kind of put together what this schedule will look like from start to finish. What was it, last Thursday that we got the news about Missouri going to be on opening day,
night,
which is huge.
We got the Ole Miss news for the 28th. We knew State on the 21st.
Right,
we knew Vegas on that Sunday, the 13th.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. So it's all coming together, and I think you can definitely start putting those dates down for most of these non-conference games. Like you said, now we're just kind of waiting for some of those bye games, and then obviously the conference to release the schedules, and you'll have the full thing in front of you.
How many people are on campus that they could have workouts, drills today?
Oh, it's a good group of guys right now. I think.
So you can have a legitimate practice, and I think that I don't know the language on what's excluded in coach contact.
Sure.
I wish we'd get rid of all that. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah, I'm with you.
In the college football world, and of course not in football, have anybody out there hitting in June. Yeah. I understand that, but basketball and that whole facade of no contact. Let the coach be around.
Yeah.
Let them hear his voice.
Yeah.
Especially as volatile as rosters are now.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I don't know the exact language for coaches and how often they can be around, but I know it's something like right now in this June period, it's like 8 hours a week you're allowed to do skill or workouts, and you cannot do more than 4 hours of workouts or something like that. So it's not a ton of time you can be out there. But you can.
Well, look, if we're going to make this their job,
Sure.
and we have,
well, that's a great
then let's
point.
treat it as one.
100%. Let's get them in there and really let them get to work. And I think I would love to see these guys out there and getting ready.
But
running
I'm not
sets
talking about
and
running
stuff like
line
that.
drills all
No,
summer.
no. But if you get
You
out
got to
there,
get shape.
Sure, and obviously these guys are certainly getting together, I'm sure, most nights and running scrimmages and just playing ball. But
with that, you know what we're going to hear.
What's that?
Oh, you ought to see those scrimmages over at the Laurie Walton Center.
It's like the Tiger Woods rounds, Oh man, you
Tiger
should have
on
seen
Tuesday.
Tiger.
Tiger here last week.
That's right. Oh, shot a 62 out there.
Yeah.
That's
playing left-handed.
Exactly. Oh, you should have seen PJ Haggerty in there in the scrimmages in middle of June. No, I mean
there was a great guy around town. He's passed away, but a great guy around town. You could run into him any point after the 4th of July. Oh, you ought to see the pickup games over at the Finch Center.
Oh yeah, always good pickup games, and I never know who you're going to see at the pickup games. Oh, this guy was there.
Of course,
for the pickup
no
game.
referees.
Of course not. No, we play by the rules. The players dictate the rules. So no,
and there's never a foul in those games.
Of course not. But I mean, they're doing that. But if you could get those guys out there and start kind of doing some small practice stuff together, I don't see an issue with that at all. I mean, let them get out there and get some work in. Why not?
I would see him coming after a long time of that and go, let me guess, the pickup games over at the Finch Center are better than NBA Finals.
They're great. Why not?
How'd you know?
How'd you know? Well, I'm sure right now they are probably better because most of the teams there. I mean, in recent years, it's been nobody out there. Oh, here we go.
And we got to check. We got to check on what's on ABC tonight instead of NBA.
Games,
instead of NBA
right.
playoff starting.
Only a couple
Are you
more
ready?
days this. Yes, please.
Tonight at 7. Celebrity Wheel of Fortune.
That was on last night.
Man, we're locked in. It's Celebrity Jeopardy again at 8.
See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's no way that is all live tonight.
100,000 Pyramid at 9.
These are all reruns. There's no way. I mean, we could have been playing basketball tonight, Brett.
Now, when I say this, I'm admitting literally how shielded I am from the real world. That all I want is sports.
Right.
I just turned on ABC.
Okay.
And they're in their evening news. At the top of DirecTV, it says kind of what's on.
Sure.
Kind of a tease at the top.
Right.
And let me say this again. This is on me. I'm not taking a shot at anybody. This guy probably has a fabulous life. No telling what he makes. I had no clue the ABC Evening News anchor is David Muir.
I'm not familiar with his work, Brett.
And I couldn't tell you
Sure.
the anchors at CBS and NBC
No.
if my life depended on it. And that's not on them. That's on me.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Sure.
Now, obviously, I don't watch the evening news every day because we're busy.
We're working, Brett.
But I wouldn't be anyway.
That's right. I'm with you. So but I just and I don't know how many people are really. And again, I don't watch. Shame on me. I don't watch Celebrity Wheel of Fortune or Celebrity
I don't either,
Jeopardy,
and I'm not going to.
I don't know how many.
But by
people are
golly, I
seeking
watched
that out.
MLB tonight.
That's right. Yes, and plenty of good games tonight to watch in Major League
Great
Baseball.
schedule
I'm
tonight.
really excited for the games tonight. So let's. With that being said, let's go ahead and get to our break so that we can come back, do Taco Bell Crunch Time, figure out where we're beaming tonight. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about new Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
Get in the zone,
Restores your engine to, factory clean?
and protects.
Get in the zone.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil for $37.99.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
With Wendy's new $3 English muffin deal, you can get your choice of a sausage or bacon, egg, and cheese English muffin with small seasoned potatoes.
And with all that for just $3, it really is a proper breakfast, wouldn't you say? Huh? With a light and fluffy toasted English muffin and crispy seasoned potatoes. Go on, Catherine, give it a go.
Okay. Jolly good morning.
Ah, close love. We'll have a proper breakfast with Wendy's new $3 English muffin deal for a limited time.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Select request English muffin. Discount. Not a product of Commonwealth. See price. Price on Airlines and Hawaii.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins!
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, and I'm going to talk about it throughout the rest of the week, probably several different times, but it's going to be a big weekend in Memphis for the football program. A lot of recruits are going to be visiting this weekend, a lot of them posting online kind of that they're going to be here and the different graphics that Memphis has a great graphics team when it comes for these recruits, whether it be their commitments or you have to. And I think they do a really, really good job at it. And so they've been tweeting out that they're going to be here over the weekend. And that includes a pair of 4 stars, both from Houston County in Georgia. Georgia, but a pair of 4 stars, a 4-star quarterback, a 4-star offensive lineman. Both will be here this weekend. A lot of other guys, a lot of highly rated 3 stars also going to be here. So for Ryan Silverfield and his staff, it is going to be a very big weekend. It really never ends.
And that's football country that you just named down there. What I learned, Rule 21, posted in every big league clubhouse. You can't miss it. Everyone in there sees it. And, I mean, it may as well be a flashing light. It says betting on any baseball game in which a player, umpire, league official, or team employee results in a lifetime ban. It does not say this, but it should. What do you not understand about a lifetime ban?
Yes, read that again. What do you not understand about a lifetime ban? That's what the sign should say.
We did it to Pete Rose. We will sure do it to you.
We will definitely do it to you as well. Well, what I learned, or what I could have done without today, I mean, it might have to be what you just said and with what you learned, but what I could have done without, it's got to be the headline that I saw earlier on SportsCenter that CD Lamb misses first day of mandatory minicamp. What did you expect? I mean,
no biggie.
He's wanting a new contract.
June 4th.
Yeah, did you expect that I understand it's SportsCenter, they're making headlines, they're having things to talk about, it creates good conversation, but I don't think anybody needs to worry about whether it's CD Lamb or any other player that's holding out in a contract. I think those are going to take care of themselves, and you kind of have to play a little bit of a waiting game.
When it's money time, he'll be in there.
Absolutely.
I could have done without this. I'm sorry to stay with the whole gambling thing, but we were talking about it earlier, and I've said it, and I believe it wholeheartedly. If you think baseball betting is isolated to Shohei's interpreter and to some guy nobody can pronounce his name with the Padres, then you're really naive. By the same token, I think you're naive to think that everybody's doing it, because they're not.
Yes.
So let's don't lump the whole sport into it like we did with PEDs.
Yeah.
Everybody was suspect.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's the thing of, look, you can't believe that nobody's doing it, but you also can't believe that everybody's doing it. That's just not fair to anybody.
It's not fair.
And so hopefully people can find kind of that middle ground, because I don't think it's a lot of players doing it, but there certainly are players doing it in all of these major leagues. Where are you beaming tonight?
Fenway Park, Boston, tonight for the baseball game between the Braves and the Red Sox. Tomorrow afternoon, Braves and Red Sox, and I'll just stay there for game 1 on Thursday night of the NBA Finals. Atlanta Braves once played as the Boston Braves. Last year in Boston was 1952. They played in the 1948 World Series against Cleveland. That was the famous Cleveland team with Spawn and Sane and Pray for Rain with the manager for Boston, Billy Southworth, who used to manage the Memphis Chicks.
Wow. Look at that. No, that should be a...
All comes together, doesn't it?
It definitely does. But that should be a lot of fun. You saw Cutter Crawford a couple weeks ago when you were up in St. Louis when they took on the Red Sox. I enjoy watching Cutter Crawford throw the ball. You know what? Beam me tonight... I hate to say it, but beam me up to New York City for this Yankees and Twins game. Bailey Ober going for the Twins. Louis Gill, who's just been lights out this season, 7-1 with a 1.99 ERA this season. He's on the bump for the Yankees. That should be a really good pitching matchup, a really good game. So beam me there. I'll check out some Yankees baseball.
Mets in our nation's capital against the Nationals, Cardinals in Houston, Braves at Phillies our Brewers at Phillies as good as it was last night. It could be that good again tonight. Twinks at Yankees and the Battle of Chicago. Connor, man, you got to pull your White Sox through.
Well, and it's going to be a tough one night. You got Shota Imanaga going for the Cubs, and he talk about
he hadn't
lights
pitched
out
a lot
pitcher.
lately.
He really hasn't, but when he's out there, he is lights out. He's really, really good. And who's throwing for the White Sox? Oh, Chris Flexen. Give me a break. I mean, Flexen. I don't know. I don't mind Flexen as a reliever, but as a starting pitcher, not a huge fan of that.
I wonder what the building will be like at Wrigley, though. What the split will be.
That's a good question. I hope it's good. I hope it's
First
good.
place Mariners late tonight at Oakland.
Right. Yeah, and Brett, this Mariners team, I love them so much. They're a fun team to watch, but man, they scare me every single time I watch them. It feels like you really never know what Mariners team you're going to get. Are you going to get the team that's first place in the division, or are you going to get a team that has kind of struggled at times? But that should be a good game, a really good night of baseball. And as we wait a couple more days for the NBA Finals. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.